Chapter 2609. From Chen Kanglin's words. Ling Xiao also learned that Yuanling had an origin spirit crystal in her body that could improve her cultivation. However, this was not very attractive to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao preferred the cultivation environment of the Imperial Mystery Realm and the treasures of heaven and earth. That was the key to him wanting to enter. Where are the others? Ling Xiao asked. I have already sent people to gather them. They are all geniuses, so each of them has their own personalities. Although your talent is not bad, your cultivation is not strong enough. So when you see them, you should try to keep a low profile. Chen Kanglin of Jihyun of Silla did not know Ling Xiao's current cultivation, so he thought that Ling Xiao was still a warrior in the middle stage of the 8th level of Hell in Transformation 1. In fact, Ling Xiao had already broken through to the 9th level of Hell in Transformation 1. At this moment, 6 people walked in from outside. Ling Xiao looked back. Among the 6 people, 2 were women and 4 were men. They were all around 20 years old. Although they were older than Ling Xiao, they were still very young. All 6 of them were wearing the Mystic Land Academy's uniform with the Mystic Land Academy's insignia. Haha, speaking of them, they're here. Those 6 are my most capable disciples of the Arcana Academy. Every single one of them has been tempered through countless battles, so they are definitely not trash with no combat experience. Jihyun of Silla seemed to think highly of these 6 people and was very satisfied. Ling Xiao understood in his heart that these 6 people were indeed extraordinary. Every one of their cultivations was stronger than his, especially the guy who was completely blind. He gave off an unfathomable feeling. Greetings, Your Highness. The 6 people all knelt on one knee and bowed to Jihyun of Silla. Seeing this scene, Ling Xiao could not help but be surprised by Jihyun of Silla's ability. One had to know that these 6 people were all experts. If they did not have some ability, they would definitely not be able to obey Jihyun of Silla. Get up. Let me introduce you. Ling Xiao, Lin Ruoxian, and Moon Death. These 3 people will enter the Imperial Mystery Realm with you. Jihyun of Silla Chen Kanglin raised his hand and said. The blind person was obviously the leader of the 6 people. Hearing Chen Kanglin's words, he suddenly raised his hand, and 3 forces shot out towards Ling Xiao, Lin Ruoxian, and Moon Death. Don't dodge, the blind man said at the same time as he shot out the chi. Ling Xiao used his Tai Chi eye to see that these 3 forces were not attacks, so he did not dodge. Since he did not dodge, the other 2 did not dodge. Too weak. A moment later, the forces circled around Ling Xiao and the other 2's bodies before returning to the blind person's body. 2 of them are at the middle stage of the First Revolution 8 levels of Hell, and 1 is at the early stage of the First Revolution 8 levels of Hell. They are not qualified at all. They will only be a burden in the Imperial Mystery Realm. However, their aptitude is not bad. It is rare for their cultivation to reach such a level at such a young age. Most of the cultivators from the county cities are only at the First Revolution 6 levels of Hell. They are all called geniuses. Ha ha ha, Avidinia, you have hit the nail on the head. If these 3 people are carefully nurtured, they will definitely become our best helpers. You have to protect them well in the Imperial Mystery Realm. Jihyun of Silla Chen Kanglin laughed. Of course, Avidinia nodded and said, But, Your Highness, there is no free lunch in this world. We will have to waste time and energy to protect them. We should at least get some benefits, right? Don't worry about this. As long as this king can do it, I will definitely give it to you. Chen Kanglin nodded and said, Your Highness can naturally do it. In fact, it is just a small matter. Wu Ming chuckled and said, This subordinate's 2 brothers have already reached the age where they should get married. However, because they have always been at Your Highness's beck and call, they have no time. I wonder if Your Highness can bestow Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death to them. Even as concubines, they will not be wronged. Perhaps because he was blind, Avidinia did not notice the gloomy expression on Ling Xiao's face when he said this. However, Even if he saw it, he probably would not care. Ling Xiao's strength was like an ant in his eyes. How could he care? Chen Kanglin did not expect Avidinia to make such a request. However, it was also true. These 6 people often went out on missions. 2 of them were women, and 2 of them were like a pair of mandarin ducks. However, there were 2 of them who came out alone. Now that Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death appeared, and whether it is in terms of beauty or talent, they are very good. Naturally, Avidinia took a fancy to them and wanted to bestow marriage to his 2 brothers who came out alone. However, Chen Kanglin understood Ling Xiao's temper very well. He could not help but feel a little troubled. Thus, he could only use a negotiating tone and asked, Ling Xiao, Avidinia's 2 brothers, No Agreements and Wuyan are first-class men. It is not wrong to let Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death marry them. What do you think? Ling Xiao looked at Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death faintly and said, Are you willing? Not willing. The 2 girls answered in unison. What kind of joke is this? If he wants to marry them, even if they don't agree, they would still be quite happy. After all, women dress up for the one who loves them. However, the problem is that Avidinia said very clearly that he wants to find concubines. This clearly shows that he looks down on the 2 of them. It's just that he doesn't have any women at the moment, so he used them to make up the numbers. These 2 girls have been with Ling Xiao for a long time. They are also people with tempers. How can they not be angry? Did you hear that? The 2 of them don't agree. Ling Xiao coldly looked at Avidinia and the others and said, Their rejection of these 2 marriages clearly made the 6 of them lose face, especially from Avidinia's point of view. Ling Xiao, Lin Ruoxian, and Moon Death's lives are in their hands. After entering the Imperial Secret Realm, they will need to rely on their protection. Yet, they dared to reject their request. This is simply audacious. They don't know what's good for them. Her Highness Jihyun of Silla, isn't she indulging these people a little too much? Avidinia's voice suddenly became cold and sinister. No agreements, and Wu Yan's expression became even more gloomy. Before they submitted to Jihyun of Silla and Chen Kanglin, they were notorious villains. Very few people dared to provoke them. Those who dared to provoke them now have the grass on their graves a meter tall. If it wasn't for the fact that this is Jihyun of Silla's residence, they would have already taught these 3 disobedient guys a lesson. Ling Xiao, I asked them to become the concubines of my 2 good brothers. That is giving them face, giving them glory. In the capital, there are so many girls who want to become the women of my 2 good brothers, but they can't do it. How dare you refuse? I will ask you one last time. Do you agree or not? Avidinia's voice was sinister and terrifying. It looked like he was going to attack at the slightest disagreement. Jihyun of Silla, is this how you manage your dogs? Ling Xiao looked at Chen Kanglin coldly and said word by word, I gave you face and agreed to come to the residence and help you complete the Imperial Secret Realm mission. Chapter 2610. Ling Xiao wasn't afraid of offending Chen Kanglin since he had already decided to be forceful. If he were to back down now, he would be looked down upon and the situation would become even more difficult. That's why Ling Xiao dared to question Jihyun of Silla and also dared to call the 6 people Jihyun of Silla's dogs. Dogs. In that instant, Avidinia and the others clearly exploded. Ling Xiao actually dared to call them dogs. Although this might be the truth, they would never admit it. Also, this kid dared to speak to Her Highness Jihyun of Silla in such a manner. This is simply too much. Ling Xiao, if you don't agree, then don't agree. Why do you have to make it sound so unpleasant? Chen Kanglin was starting to get a bit upset. He suddenly realized that this Ling Xiao is really hard to control. For this guy, he made his subordinates bitterly disappointed. Is it really worth it? Are my words unpleasant to your ears? Why doesn't your Highness think that their words are even more unpleasant? Does your Highness think that my 2 friends can be humiliated as they please? Ling Xiao coldly looked at Jihyun of Silla. Although he really wanted to borrow Jihyun of Silla's power to enter the Imperial Secret Domain, This didn't mean that he would use his friend's dignity to exchange for it. Forget it. Chen Kanglin glanced at Yufanghua and forcefully suppressed his anger. He wants Yufanghua, so he can't make a move against Ling Xiao right now. But after entering the Imperial secret domain, he can destroy Ling Xiao. Wouldn't that mean that Yufanghua is already in his bag? He, Chen Kanglin, doesn't believe that a mere Ling Xiao can be more charming than him. Avidinia, no agreements. Wu Yan, you three listen up if you like women. This king will find them for you. They won't be any worse than them. If Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death aren't willing, then don't pursue them. This is a temporary forbearance. Chen Kanglin told himself that he can't fall out with Ling Xiao just yet, because Yufanghua isn't someone to be messed with. Your Highness, we can give up on the women, but this kid must apologize to us. No agreements, loudly said. This was a man with a wild temper. Avidinia and Wu Yan's already endured, but he couldn't. You can apologize, but there is a condition. Ling Xiao looked at no agreements and said, he knows that if he doesn't show a little bit of his strength, these guys would think that he's to be bullied. Moreover, the other party had humiliated Lin Ruoxian and Yushan. If he didn't vent his anger on someone, he wouldn't feel at ease. What condition? No agreements. If I down to you, as to down, I tess down, said CTE of Azit when these words were spoken. The 6 people were suddenly stunned for a moment, but soon after, they burst into loud laughter. They didn't expect Ling Xiao to propose such a condition. Is there something wrong with this guy's head? A martial artist at the middle stage of the 8th level of hell in Yinyang realm was courting death by challenging a martial artist at the middle stage of the 9th level of hell in Yinyang realm. Is it really that funny? Ling Xiao asked. Ha ha ha, isn't it funny? Fine, if you want to get beaten up, then just say it. I've misunderstood you. It seems like you sincerely want to apologize. Don't worry, I'll go easy on you. I won't beat you up like a pig's head. Wu Yu laughed so hard that he almost felt his stomach hurt. He had never thought that he would encounter such a ridiculous challenge today. A brat who overestimated himself. It's time for him to vent his anger. No agreements, be careful. He's His Highness's guest. Don't beat him up too hard. Avidinia didn't know where Ling Xiao's confidence came from when he proposed to fight with no agreements. But he was sure that Ling Xiao was no match for no agreements. He believed that his ability to detect his opponent's cultivation wouldn't be wrong. That move of his had a 100% success rate as long as his opponent's cultivation was lower than his. If his opponent's cultivation was higher than his, the success rate would be lower. But Ling Xiao's cultivation was obviously not as high as his. So he was sure that Ling Xiao wasn't hiding his strength and was at the middle stage of Yinyang stage 8, middle stage of hell. Maybe he's relying on some Dharma treasure. Avidinia sneered in his heart. This ignorant frog at the bottom of the well really thought he was invincible in the 8 Immortals County and could do whatever he wanted in the Imperial City? Ridiculous. The 6 of them were all geniuses from the Arcana Academy. The so-called geniuses were usually able to challenge people of a higher level. The 6 of them had all defeated martial artists whose cultivation was 1 minor realm higher than theirs. So if Ling Xiao thought that they were only as strong as they seemed, he would be too stupid. Challenging them wasn't just a joke, it was extremely stupid. Big brother, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. I won't let this stupid donkey, oh no, Brother Ling Xiao get hurt too badly. But fists and legs have no eyes. I can't stop when it's time. Try to be merciful. No agreements, said with a smile. In fact, he wasn't interested in fighting. If his opponent was too weak, he could just take care of them casually. There was no need to use too much strength. The 6 of them all thought that Ling Xiao was overestimating himself and was ridiculous. But Jihyun of Silla, Chen Kanglin, and Hong Min are frowned. They knew Ling Xiao's character too well. He was definitely not an idiot, and he wouldn't make such a reckless request for a fight for no reason. That's right. With Yufanghua around, how could Ling Xiao lose? If no agreements dared to harm Ling Xiao, Yufanghua would definitely take action. After thinking for a long time, Chun Kanglin and Hong Min could only come to this conclusion. They definitely didn't think that Ling Zhao's strength had reached the level where he could defeat No Agreements. It was too unbelievable. Can we start now, kid? No Agreements rubbed his fists and was ready to teach Ling Zhao a lesson. He was getting impatient. Don't worry. Since it's a fight, how can there be no prize? If I lose, I can kneel down and apologize to you guys. What if you lose? You can't not offer anything, right? Ling Zhao said faintly. No Agreement sneered and said, no problem. Just tell me what you need. Spiritual stones, spiritual pills, magical weapons, martial skills. I can give you anything as long as I can get it. In fact, No Agreements didn't care about what Ling Zhao wanted because he never thought that he would lose. The rest of them were the same. Of course, Ling Zhao was interested in what they were talking about. However, Ling Zhao wasn't interested in those things. He was interested in something else. Ling Zhao smiled and said, I'm afraid that only Her Highness Ji-Hyun of Silla can fulfill this bet. From what I know, there's a famous saber called Golden Crow Saber under the imperial residence. Although it's not a magical weapon, it's made from the rare godly iron produced after the Golden Crow fell. Can your highness use it as a wager? It was Yu Fanghua who told Ling Zhao about the Golden Crow saber. At first, he thought that there was something under the imperial residence, but he wasn't sure what it was. Chapter 26:11. Yu Fanghua told Ling Zhao about the treasure under the mansion. It was one of the remnant souls of the 9 Serenities, Yellow Spring, Golden Crow. The Golden Crow saber was used to suppress the remnant souls. Ling Zhao did not directly mention the remnant soul of the 9 Serenities, Yellow Spring, Golden Crow, because he knew that it was not easy to obtain. Therefore, he chose the Golden Crow saber as the second best option. The Golden Crow saber and the remnant soul of the 9 Serenities, Yellow Spring, Golden Crow had been together day and night, absorbing its energy. If the little demoness could devour it, it would greatly improve her cultivation. After all, Ling Zhao's external incarnation could not cultivate on its own for the time being. It could only improve its cultivation through devouring. Therefore, the Golden Crow saber was necessary at this stage. For Ji-Hyun of Silla, the Golden Crow saber could be replaced with something else. Therefore, it was not something that could not be given up. How dare you? How can the prince's things be used as a wager? You think too highly of yourself. No Agreements said angrily. He did not expect that Ling Zhao would be so greedy as to set his eyes on Ji-Hyun of Silla's Golden Crow saber. He had only heard that His Highness Ji-Hyun of Silla had such a treasured saber, but he had never seen it with his own eyes. That's right. You'd better change your wager. This Golden Crow saber is absolutely impossible. Avidinia said coldly, You can choose anything else you want. Chun Kanglin of Ji-Hyun of Silla was very shocked. Apart from him, only the people who designed and built the mansion knew about the treasure under the mansion. But those people, except for the array master, were all killed. He killed them to silence them. How could there be a third person who knew about it? How did Ling Zhao know? Your Highness. Ling Zhao saw Chun Kanglin's shocked expression and could not help but feel amused. He had already guessed Chun Kanglin's thoughts. He felt that Yu Fanghua was stronger than him, so he had already changed his partner to Yu Fanghua. He was prepared to kill him in the extreme royal secret realm and cut off the connection between him and Yu Fanghua. Since that was the case, Chun Kanglin would still endure even if he made a more excessive request. Although the Golden Crow saber was precious, it was not something that could not be exchanged. Therefore, Ling believed that Chun Kanglin would make a choice. I can use the Golden Crow saber as a wager, but I have a condition. Chun Kanglin of Ji-Hyun of Silla pondered for a long time. Your Highness, please say it, said Kanglin of Silla. Bystanders are absolutely not allowed to interfere in this battle. The two of you shall fight. If bystanders interfere, then whichever side that interferes will be considered to have lost. What do you think? Qin Kanglin's only worry was that Yu Fenghua would help Ling Xiao. No agreements would definitely lose. But if Yu Fenghua did not help, the situation would naturally be different. Of course, this is a one-on-one battle. Ling Xiao's lips curled into a cold smile. He had long expected Qin Kanglin's condition. But Qin Kanglin probably did not understand that this condition was exactly what he needed. He did not need Yu Fenghua's help at all, but he was worried that someone would help no agreements. In this case, there was no need to worry. I will not let others help. No agreements also nodded. I agree to your Highness' condition. He seemed to be a little touched because His Highness Jihyun of Silla was actually willing to use the golden crow saber as a wager to bet that he would win. What a great deal of trust. If he lost, it would not only be a disgrace to him, but also a waste of Jihyun of Silla's trust. Okay, since both of you agree, the bet is set. This place is too small, let's go outside. Although my residence is not big, at least there is a martial arts field. Jihyun of Silla stood up and smiled. Then everyone left the main hall and went to the martial arts field. Ling Xiao and no agreements stood in the arena that was more than 100 square meters. The rules of this battle are very simple. You're not allowed to kill, but accidental injuries are inevitable, so it is acceptable to injure the other party. If either party is knocked unconscious, admits defeat, or is knocked out of the arena, this battle is over. Do you understand? Qin Kanglin asked loudly. Yes. Ling Xiao and no agreements replied. No agreements. Remember, His Highness has used his beloved golden crow saber as a wager. If you lose, don't blame me for being rude. Avidinia reminded no agreements. Don't underestimate him. If it was any other wager, he would not be so cautious. If he underestimated his opponent, then so be it. Even if he lost, he would not lose much. But since the wager was made by Jihyun of Silla, he could not be careless. Brother, don't worry. Don't you know my strength? Although it is not as good as you, it is more than enough to deal with this kid. No agreements, said, confidently. Then he looked at Ling Xiao and said, I wanted to go easy on you, but for the sake of His Highness' treasure, you will be beaten. Ling Xiao sneered and said, It is useless to talk. Let's fight. His opponent was stronger than the deputy general he met in the valley, although they were both at the middle stage of the 9th floor of hell. No agreements was indeed a genius. Ling Xiao admitted this. Whether it was combat ability or talent, he was stronger than the deputy general. But don't forget, Ling Xiao was already able to kill the deputy general before he broke through to the 9th floor of hell, although he used the Sky Tyrant martial soul in the end. But now, Ling Xiao's cultivation was dozens of times stronger than before. This Wu Yu was simply delivering himself to his doorstep to help him practice his moves. Brother Ling Xiao, let that guy know that the martial artists of the 8 Immortal City are not to be trifled with. Moon Death shouted. Even now, she was still very angry. Naturally, she hoped that Ling Xiao could avenge her. No agreements. His Highness has ordered that there is no need to go easy on him. As long as he is not dead, it doesn't matter even if you severely injure him. At this moment, no agreements heard his elder brother Avidinia's voice in his mind. He knew that his elder brother Avidinia was transmitting his voice to him. Originally, he was still thinking about how to fight. Now that he heard Avidinia's words, he suddenly felt more confident. Although he said that he was severely injured, it should not matter even if he killed him. No agreements wanted to kill Ling Xiao. He did not want Ling Xiao to take away Jihyun of Silla's favor for the 6 of them. As long as he killed Ling Xiao, Jihyun of Silla would naturally value the 6 of them more. Thinking of this, he revealed a sinister smile and released a dense, murderous aura. Can we begin? No agreements asked coldly. Of course, any time. To be honest, Ling Xiao did not take no agreements seriously at all. Although this guy was indeed very strong, he was not a threat to him at all. Of course, he would not underestimate him, because he knew the consequences of underestimating his opponent. He instantly entered the beast soul transformation state of the three-headed lava hound. Chapter 26:12. The Cerberus beast soul naturally has a special skill: scorching hell. After releasing the skill, the caster can create an environment similar to scorching hell. In this environment, other than fire-type internal force, the effects of other attributes will be greatly reduced. Also, the constant eruption of lava will be a great threat to the enemy. The duration of the skill is the limit of the warrior's internal force and soul power. No matter if it's internal force or soul power, once consumed to a certain extent, the warrior will not be able to maintain this scorching hell. After one use, there will still be a cooldown time of half an hour. Because it's a new beast soul, Ling Xiao wants to test its power in this battle. He also wants to try this scorching hell. No wonder you're a beast warrior. No wonder you're so arrogant. Looking at Ling Xiao's transformation, No Agreement sneered. Too bad, you're not the only beast warrior in this world. I'm one too. Seeing Ling Xiao's transformation, No Agreements became more confident that he can win. He guessed that Ling Xiao's biggest trump card is the beast warrior transformation. However, not only does he have the beast warrior transformation, his cultivation is also much stronger than Ling Xiao's. Terrifying scales grew out of No Agreements' body. His eyes suddenly turned into the strange eyes of a cobra. The tongue in his mouth is like a snake's tongue. This is the special blood that flows in the warriors of No Agreements' family. It comes from the blood of the Cobra King. It can let the warriors of their family awaken beast warriors. No Agreements, Avidinia, and Wu Yan are the best of the younger generation. No Agreements had a slight increase in strength due to the beast soul transformation, but not by much. However, the terrifying aura contained in his body was several times stronger than before. In particular, all the bones in his body were now as flexible as a snake, making it easier for him to attack. It's such a waste to use the three-headed lava hound beast soul on you. I'll tell you right now that a trash with a weak cultivation base will not be able to unleash its full potential even if you have a powerful beast soul. Looking at Ling Xiao's beast soul transformation, No Agreement sneered. You're now a three-headed lava hound. Don't turn into a dead dog later. Hearing this, many of the onlooking warriors in the mansion burst into laughter. In their opinion, there was no suspense at all in this battle. Although Ling Xiao had a beast soul that was not inferior to No Agreements', his cultivation was too low and he could not exert the power of this beast soul. On the contrary, he might even be dragged down. Naturally, there were also people who would not laugh at Ling Xiao. Yu Fenghua and the other two girls would not laugh at him. Hong Min, and Ji-Hyun of Silla didn't know how to do it either. This was because both Ji-Hyun of Silla and Hong Min knew that Ling Xiao was not easy to deal with. Ji-Hyun of Silla did not want No Agreements to underestimate his opponent, so he reminded him, No Agreements. I've told you before that you should never underestimate your opponent no matter what. Have you forgotten? Of course, he did not want No Agreements to lose. Although the golden crow saber was not something that he could not give away, it would be very troublesome for him to give it away. It was too difficult to find another similar item. He could only find something that was slightly inferior as a replacement. Therefore, Ji-Hyun of Silla did not want to create trouble for himself if he could avoid it. I understand. No Agreements stopped laughing, but he did not take it seriously. All right, let the battle begin. Ji-Hyun of Silla waved his hand down, and the battle began. Ling Xiao did not plan to take the initiative to attack because it was not easy to find a good opponent. He wanted to make use of No Agreements to test his skills. He would defeat him after he was done with him. However, No Agreements was getting impatient when he did not attack. When he heard Ji-Hyun of Silla's order to attack, his figure suddenly flashed and he dashed out. He was as fast as a ghost, and his body was extremely flexible. He looked like a snake as he dashed forward. A strong wind blew in the arena. Kid, it's time to lose. This is the royal city. It's not a place where you can behave atrociously. No Agreements wanted to end the battle quickly. It would be best if he could end the battle in 1 or 2 moves. This way, he could show his strength and Ling Xiao's incompetence. In the process of the surprise attack, 2 sharp daggers appeared in Wu Yu's hands. The daggers danced and turned into a terrifying snake shadow, releasing a sharp sword aura. It almost enveloped his entire body inside. It turned him into a sharp blade, stabbing at Ling Xiao's vital points. Good. Ling Xiao temporarily raised his cultivation to the peak of the 8th level of hell of the Yin-Yang realm. Since he wanted to train, he could not let himself be too strong. Once he released all his cultivation and reached the early stage of the 9th level of hell of the Yin-Yang realm. If that was the case, Wu would most likely be defeated very quickly. He would not have the chance to test his skills. Let's test the power of the 3-headed lava hound transformation first. He did not use Scorching Hell. Ling Xiao took half a step back with his right foot and leaned forward. 3 huge heads appear behind him. The heads were completely made of lava, just a little smaller, just like the 3-headed lava hound's head. Boom! The 3 heads collided with no agreement's attack. Ling Xiao felt a frightening impact, and his body involuntarily retreated more than 10 steps. In the end, he had to stab his hands into the ground to stop himself. An opponent at the middle stage of the 9th level of hell of the Yin-Yang realm is really strong, and a beast warrior at that. But no agreements could not chase after him, because he also retreated 4 or 5 steps with a shocked expression. Brat, I told you to go easy on him, but you didn't have to do this. How are you going to fight him? Wu Yan couldn't help but curse. He thought that no agreements went easy on him, otherwise no agreements would have a huge advantage over Ling Xiao in terms of cultivation. He could definitely heavily injure Ling Xiao in 1 move. Not only was he unhappy, the other people in the Wangfu who were watching the show were also very unhappy. Although Ling Xiao retreated further than Wu Yu, he clearly didn't suffer any injuries. And no agreements' cultivation is so much higher than Ling Xiao's, but he was still pushed back and unable to continue attacking. Isn't this too unbelievable? Big bro, you're mistaken. No agreements suddenly looked at Avidinia and said, He's not at the middle stage of the 8th level of hell, he's at the peak. Impossible. Wu Ming didn't believe that his probing secret technique would fail. It had to be known that this secret technique had never failed when probing martial artists with weaker cultivations than himself. If you're blind, then just stay blind. Don't try to detect other people's cultivation. Unfortunately, you're wrong. Ling Xiao sneered, and the aura of the 8th level of hell of the Yin-Yang realm erupted from his body. This time, even without detection, it was clear. I'm wrong? I'm actually wrong. Chapter 26:13. Avidinia's mood became abnormally bad, and his entire being seemed off. He felt as if he had gone mad. That was to be expected. A person who had never made a mistake suddenly made a mistake. It was definitely not a good blow. All right, stop looking at that lunatic. Hurry up and attack. End this battle as soon as possible. I still have other things to do. Ling Xiao looked at no agreements contemptuously and said, You dare to hurt my big brother. I'll kill you. No agreements' previous attack was too casual. He did not even use any martial arts techniques. Therefore, in his opinion, if he wanted to kill Ling Xiao, it would still be a very simple matter. Ling Xiao actually caused his big brother to be on the verge of collapse. This was something he absolutely could not tolerate. Therefore, he had to use all his strength. As he spoke, his entire body's aura instantly erupted and completely integrated into the 2 daggers in his hands. Then his entire body seemed to have turned into a huge cobra, and the 2 daggers were the cobra's poisonous fangs. This move will take your dog life. Snake Shadow Fury, Poisonous Fang Stab. In that instant, No Agreements' entire body pounced on Ling Xiao. The sharp daggers flashed with a cold purple light. This should be a special kind of poison. It was probably even more difficult to deal with than the green poison. The giant snake roared, bringing with it a foul wind and a rain of blood. Before it reached Ling Xiao, Ling Xiao already felt a great threat. Humph, it's time to try that stunt. Ling Xiao sneered. Then his entire body emitted a towering rage. The rage turned into lava and completely enveloped the entire arena. Three-headed lava hound, scorching hell. In that instant, the entire arena turned into a scorching hell. It was a sea of fire. Whether it was the sky or the ground, there was boiling lava flowing everywhere. No Agreements could clearly feel that the power of his move had instantly decreased. This made him a little frightened. However, at this time, the arrow was already knocked on the bow. There was no way he could give up. Therefore, he continued to roar and attack Ling Xiao. Through the scorching hell, Jihyun of Silla and the others watched the battle nervously. This was a strange battle. Until now, Ling Xiao had yet to launch a real attack. Both attacks were launched by No Agreements, but from the looks of it, it was impossible for No Agreements to hurt Ling Xiao. No Agreements. Use fire attribute techniques. No Agreements, who was pouncing towards Ling Xiao, heard a voice in his mind. It was Jihyun of Silla's voice. It was obvious that Jihyun of Silla had seen through the characteristics of the scorching hell in an instant. No Agreements didn't have fire attribute internal energy, but he still had fire attribute moves. This guy was indeed a genius. He actually changed his move in midair. Purple Snake, Fire Venom Fong. Purple flames began to burn on the original attack. At this moment, No Agreements also felt that the power of his move was rapidly recovering. It seemed that Her Highness Jihyun of Silla's warning was right. This fire attribute move wouldn't be weakened in the scorching hell. However, he didn't have fire attribute internal energy. He could only use this move once or twice at most. He had to defeat Ling Xiao in 1 or 2 times. Otherwise, he wouldn't have a chance. Scorching Hell, Wall of Fire. Scorching Hell, Fire Snake. The Scorching Hell had many defensive and attacking methods. It wasn't just about weakening. The Fire Snake pounced towards No Agreements. The Wall of Fire blocked No Agreements' attack. This made Wu Yu feel a strong sense of powerlessness. He actually couldn't even touch this guy Ling Xiao. Even if his opponent was at the 8th level of the Yin-Yang realm, he couldn't be so useless. Damn it. The result of the test is good. Your mission is complete. So let's end this battle. Ling Xiao suddenly revealed a cold smile, which made Wu Yu's hair stand on end. End the battle? What the hell is that guy talking about? Although No Agreements can't hit him for now, how long can that wall of fire last? Wu Yen couldn't help but ask, but no one answered him. Everyone else was watching the battle intently. From the beginning, they thought it would be a one-sided battle, but now it's full of suspense. For those who are watching the show, it couldn't be any better. I formed the first Heavenly Thunder Guard in the valley. It has half of my strength. Ignoring the buffs from my Tyrant Martial Spirit and equipment, the Heavenly Thunder Guard's strength should be at the peak of the 8th level of the Yin-Yang realm at the very least. If the Heavenly Thunder Guard suddenly attacks, what will happen to No Agreements, who is defenseless right now? Ling Xiao was very interested. The Heavenly Thunder Guard is a support-type combat ability. In a one-on-one fight, it's hard to use it to kill or defeat the opponent. But if used properly, the effect would be outstanding. Thinking about this, lightning flashed on his body. A bolt of lightning quietly left his body and condensed into a human-shaped lightning bolt nearby. This was the most basic Heavenly Thunder Guard. After all, Ling Xiao was still far from being able to use it. The human-shaped lightning hid in the lightning and was hard to spot. So even if Jihyun of Silla or others wanted to warn No Agreements, it was impossible. Your Highness, this Ling Xiao seems to have exceeded our expectations. You should know that a few days ago, he almost lost his life in the battle with Inpa. Now No Agreements, who is dozens of times stronger than Inpa, is on par with him. Should we change our strategy? Although Hong Min didn't see the Heavenly Thunder Guard, however, she could sense that the battle was probably already over. Wu Yu had always been toyed with in the palm of Ling Zhao's hand. There was simply no chance of victory. There was no hope. Change our strategy. Ji-hyun of Silla frowned and said, "What do you mean?" "Kill him." Hong-min lowered her voice and said, "He's obviously not on our side. If we keep him alive, he'll be a disaster." "No." Ji-hyun of Silla shook his head and said, "Before we know Yu Fenghua's exact strength and her relationship with Ling Shao, we can't act rashly. Otherwise, the unlucky ones won't be him, but us." Ji-hyun of Silla also wanted to kill Ling Shao. Such a person was not someone he could control. However, the existence of Yu Fenghua made him have no choice but to temporarily hide his thoughts. Whoosh! Suddenly, a bolt of lightning appeared out of nowhere. Everyone saw the strange, human-shaped lightning. "That's the Heavenly Thunder Guard." Ji-hyun of Silla, Chen Kanglin, gritted his teeth. He had always wanted to get it, but Ling Shao had snatched it away and refused to give it to him. He thought he still had a long time to get it from Ling Shao after he came to the capital city. However, he didn't expect Ling Shao to have cultivated the Heavenly Thunder Guard so quickly. Although it was just a human-shaped lightning, the Heavenly Thunder Guard was a secret technique at the second heaven of the immortal grade. Its power was terrifying. Chapter 26:14. At this time, Avidinia also woke up from the chaos. Seeing this scene, he wanted to warn no agreements, but found that the scorching hell was surrounded by a terrifying soul power. His soul power could not penetrate it. Of course, this was done by Ling Shao. Previously, when Ji-hyun of Silla warned him, he did not have time to guard against it. However, it was not too late to mend the pen after the sheep were lost. Damn it, this guy actually has such a powerful secret technique. He is just a country bumpkin from the 8 Immortals County. How could it be? There is also the 3-headed lava hound beast soul and the 2 beautiful girls. These should not belong to that country bumpkin. They should belong to us. The 6 people were obviously greedy. However, they did not dare to do anything because this was the prince's mansion. As long as Ji-hyun of Silla did not say anything, they would definitely not dare to do anything. Otherwise, it would be disrespectful to Ji-hyun of Silla. At that time, they would only be in trouble, just as they were discussing spiritedly. No agreements had already destroyed the firewall and fire snake of the scorching hell. He turned around and attacked Ling Shao. In his opinion, there was nothing that could stop him now. However, at this time, a dazzling human-shaped lightning appeared in front of him and crashed into his body. All the power poured into his body. Under the roar of thunder, No Agreements was electrocuted until he was charred on the outside and tender on the inside. His originally proud body fell to the ground with a loud bang. The good thing about the Heavenly Thunder Guards was that they were not living creatures. Therefore, they could explode at any time and burst out with all their power. Even if No Agreement's cultivation was much stronger than the Heavenly Thunder Guards, it was useless. The power released by the explosion was too terrifying. Almost the entire prince's mansion could hear No Agreements's mournful screams. Seeing No Agreements fall on the arena, Ling Shao immediately withdrew the scorching hell and the 3-headed lava hound beast soul transformation. Instead, he walked over and stepped on No Agreements's body. He said coldly, "I know you are not dead. The feeling of being struck by lightning should be very unpleasant, right? You cheated. No Agreements was indeed not dead. After all, his cultivation was not bad, and he was also a beast warrior. His life force was tenacious enough. Although he was seriously injured, he was still conscious. However, it was basically impossible for him to fight Ling Shao again. Cheating? Hee, do you want me to cut off your head before you admit defeat?" Ling Shao squatted down and patted No Agreements's face a few times, revealing a mocking and sarcastic smile. This scene was clearly seen by everyone present. The 6 great experts of Ji-hyun of Silla's residence, who had been to the extreme royal secret realm countless times, were actually being stepped on by a country bumpkin from the 8 Immortals County, unable to move at all. If word got out, it would be really embarrassing. Avidinia, Wu Yan, and the others are just as furious. However, They also feel ashamed and humiliated at the same time. No Agreements didn't just lose. He also made Her Highness Jihyun of Silla lose her precious golden crow sword. This is hard for them to accept. They looked at Chun Kanglin of Jihyun of Silla. Chun Kanglin's eyes flashed with murderous intent, but it disappeared in an instant. He wants Ling Xiao dead. He already had this thought when Hong Minor mentioned it. Ling Xiao's talent is too terrifying. He is a guy that he can't control. If he continues to let Ling Xiao live, he might become the one being stepped on in the future. Therefore, Ling Xiao must die. Although he cares a lot about the golden crow sword, what really made him want to kill is Ling Xiao's terrifying talent and his unruly character. This kind of person is hard to tame, or rather, it is impossible to tame him. However, Chun Kanglin also knows that even if he wants to kill, he can't touch Ling Xiao right now. Otherwise, he might end up like Hong Minor, beaten up by Yufeng Hua and sent flying. Not only would he lose face, he might lose his life as well. Therefore, he can only endure for now. The most suitable place to kill Ling Xiao is in the royal secret territory. No matter how talented Ling Xiao is, it is impossible for him to have a breakthrough in just 2 days. If that is the case, after entering the royal secret territory, Avidinia and the others can team up and kill Ling Xiao. As for that Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death, Chun Kanglin didn't care about them at all. Get out of here. Seeing that No Agreements didn't want to admit defeat, Ling Xiao kicked him out of the ring. Wu Yan hugged No Agreements and showed an angry expression. What? You don't want to admit defeat? Such a piece of trash actually wants my friend to be his concubine? He thinks too highly of himself. Ling Xiao looked at Wu Yan with disdain. Your cultivation is just a little bit higher than his. If you don't want to admit defeat, you can try again. I'm just afraid you won't be able to take out the stake I want. Ling Xiao believes the weak and easily bullied will only be bullied and humiliated more. Only when you become strong and regain your face can others respect you. Only then can you have status. If he didn't defeat No Agreements today, he believes that the people in the mansion wouldn't look at him with respect. This is the reality. He has proven this reality countless times. Enough, let's end it here. Seeing Wu Yan's ugly expression, the way he wants to go up but doesn't dare, Jihyun of Silla felt embarrassed. He stopped the argument. Ling Xiao, you win. According to the bet, this king's golden crow sword is yours. Wait here for a moment. Only 2 people know about the secret underground passage of the mansion. One is Jihyun of Silla, Chun Kanglin. The other is the Formation Master. Unfortunately, the Formation Master didn't manage to break Ling Xiao's defensive formation in 8 Immortals County. Instead, he was injured by the formation and is still recovering in 8 Immortals County. So now, it can be said that in the entire capital, only Chun Kanglin knows about the secret underground passage of the mansion. So, to get the Golden Crow sword, he has to go personally. About 10 minutes later, Jihyun of Silla came out. In her hand is a golden short sword encased in 1,000-year-old ice. The short sword is releasing a terrifying amount of heat, melting the 1,000-year-old ice. That's 1,000-year-old ice. It's a very rare thing. Normal heat can't melt it, but this golden crow sword can. It shows how terrifying the heat is. Even so, Ling Xiao's palm is spewing out terrifying flames, melting the 1,000-year-old ice like nothing happened. He held the golden crow sword in his hand. TSK, not bad, it's a good sword. Too bad this is a secret blade, normal fighters can't use it. Better let the little demoness eat it. Thinking about this, Ling Xiao threw the golden crow sword into the mountain river world. The little demoness is inside. Ling Xiao is warning Chun Kanglin not to make a move on him, his family and friends. Otherwise, he has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. Chapter 26:15. He actually has a divine fire. That should be the true Samadhi fire. This guy is really terrifying. Even I don't dare to touch the golden crow blade directly, but he can play with it as he pleases. The shock in Chun Kanglin's heart was not just a little bit. It was only today that he understood that some people were not born to be dragons in the pond and could not be controlled at all. Thank you, Your Highness, for bestowing this golden crow blade. Ling Xiao cupped his hands and said, but if I go to the extreme royal mystic realm, Feng Hua will have nowhere to go for the time being. Can I trouble Your Highness to arrange a quiet residence for her? The reason why he made this decision was because Ji-hyun of Scylla's position in the capital was not ordinary after all. This prince's mansion was protected by a formation, and experts were as numerous as the clouds. It was definitely not much worse than the palace's defenses. Letting Yu Fenghua stay here should be the safest. What's more, he knew Chen Kanglin's intentions. He wanted Yu Fenghua to cooperate with him. Since that was the case, he would not act against Yu Fenghua. In this way, Yu Fenghua would be even safer. Yu Fenghua did not have any objections when she heard Ling Xiao's arrangement. Perhaps in her opinion, this arrangement was naturally the best. Brother, don't worry. This prince will arrange for Miss Fenghua with the best treatment. I will definitely not let her come to any danger. Chen Kanglin was indeed very happy. This was exactly what he wanted. Your Highness, we will leave first. No agreements is seriously injured and needs treatment. Avidinia suddenly said. He felt that if he continued to stay here, he would most likely act against Ling Xiao. Emgo, this prince will invite the imperial physician over later. He will definitely treat no agreements before the extreme royal mystic realm begins. Chun Kanglin nodded. Thus, Avidinia and the others turned and left. But before they left, they looked at Ling Xiao as if they had a deep hatred. From the looks of it, these guys were definitely not going to settle down. After that, Ji-hyun of Scylla sent someone to arrange accommodation for Ling Xiao and the others, and then went to deal with other matters. After all, he was a 9-star prince, so he had many things to take care of. After living in the courtyard arranged by King Jixian, Yu Fenghua, who had been wearing a bamboo hat, also took off her bamboo hat. Why do you keep looking at me? She looked at Ling Xiao curiously and asked, Don't you want to ask why I let you stay in Ji-hyun of Scylla's residence? Ling Xiao asked, There's nothing to ask. I can guess what you're thinking. In the entire royal city, Ji-hyun of Scylla's residence should be the safest place. It's naturally better for me to live here. Yu Fenghua said calmly, All right, since you know, I won't say any more. Let me talk about the second matter. Previously, when you heard about the extreme royal mystic realm, you suddenly had a strange reaction. Can you tell me why? Ling Xiao asked. Actually, it's nothing. When I was thrown out of the palace of eternal life, I was hit by someone's palm. Now, there's a sequela that needs a special kind of herb to cure, and it's very likely that there's such a thing in the extreme royal mystic realm. I'll help you. Without waiting for Yu Fenghua to finish, Ling Xiao said, Then what is it? Why are you so good to me? Yu Fenghua's eyes flashed with confusion as she asked. I've already told you the answer. Because what I owed you in my previous life, I must repay in this life. Ling Xiao replied. I can't be satisfied with such an answer. Yu Fenghua shook her head. It's up to you to believe it or not. But time will reveal a person's heart. In the future, you'll know whether or not I'm really good to you. All right, let's not argue about this. What are you looking for? Ling Xiao didn't want to be tangled up in this matter because no matter how he explained it, it wouldn't be clear. The extreme royal herb. Yu Fenghua replied, However, it's very difficult to obtain this kind of extreme royal herb. It might be dangerous, so you'd better be careful. The extreme royal herb, right? Don't worry, I'll definitely obtain it when I enter the extreme royal mystic realm this time. Just stay here obediently. If that Ji-hyun of Scylla really plans to do anything to you, don't mind me, just leave. With your strength, I believe that even if there's someone in the capital who wants to stop you, it's absolutely impossible. As for the extreme royal herb, when I leave the extreme royal mystic realm, I'll naturally release the news. Just come and find me. Idiot! How could I leave you and leave? This was what Yu Fenghua said in her heart. She didn't know what was wrong with her, but she was actually very concerned about this somewhat fussy young man. She couldn't escape by herself. She would wait here for Ling Xiao, no matter what trouble he encountered. She definitely wouldn't leave alone. This kind of feeling seemed to burst out from the depths of her soul, making her unable to control herself. By the way, Feng Hua, I'll leave the little demoness behind to protect you. She's actually my avatar. If anything happens here, you can directly tell me through her, and I'll naturally know. As Ling Xiao spoke, he released the little demoness from the mountain river world. At this time, the little demoness who had swallowed the golden crow saber had actually raised her cultivation to the early stage of the first cycle of hell. Seeing this scene, Ling Xiao really didn't know whether to praise the golden crow saber for being outstanding or his avatar for being awesome. As expected of an avatar that was created with the devil fetus as the foundation and his own soul as the foundation, his cultivation speed could only be described as freakish. You actually told me this girl's true identity. Aren't you afraid that I'll leak it out? In this world, people who can condense an avatar are probably very rare. I believe that other than the top powerhouses of the last 2 continents, you're the only one who can do it. Yu Fenghua said in surprise, "You won't betray me." Ling Xiao could also see that although the Moon Maiden had reincarnated, the feelings hidden in the depths of her soul were still very stubborn. This was why Yu Fenghua would say that he was her man in the restaurant. The Moon Maiden wouldn't betray him. Yu Fenghua wouldn't either. You're more confident than me. Forget it, I won't say any more. Anyway, I feel strangely close to you. I don't know why. Yu Fenghua sighed and said, "You still have to go to the extreme royal mystic realm in 2 days. It's better to use these 2 days to cultivate properly before entering the extreme royal mystic realm. Every bit of cultivation you increase is a bit more hope. Then you should rest." Although Ling Xiao really wanted to accompany Yu Fenghua for these 2 days, he knew that it was impossible. He definitely couldn't slack off. The slightest bit of slack could lead to his tragic death. He left the room and was about to return to his room when he suddenly felt a figure flash in front of the door. Who is it? He used the wolf travels 1,000 li and chased after that person. When he reached the outside of the prince's mansion, that person suddenly stopped. "Boss!" Ling Xiao was about to ask when that person suddenly turned around and shouted excitedly, "Ling Yan!" Seeing this person in front of him, Ling Xiao was shocked. It was actually his good brother Ling Yan. Chapter 26:16. When the brothers were hugging, Ling Xiao noticed some strange changes in Ling Yan's body. "What's going on with you? Your cultivation has increased very quickly. But why are there traces of beastification on your body?" Beastification was different from beast warriors. Beast warriors were usually humans. They would only transform when they activated their beast souls in battle. However, beastification was when a perfectly fine human would eventually turn into some kind of terrifying beast. For revenge. Ling Yan said, "Boss, after I came to the capital, I was discovered and chased by the royal family. In the end, I was saved by the people of the dragon cult. The dragon cult has an ultimate technique. Other than the founder of the cult, no one else has been able to successfully cultivate it. However, after the founder cultivated this martial art, he disappeared. I obtained this ultimate technique by chance, so I started cultivating it. I didn't expect it to gradually become like this, but my cultivation has indeed increased very quickly. It's like flying. Sai, you can actually go to this extent for revenge." "Oh right, Ling Yan, on my way to the capital, I found the things your father left behind. They are all in this storage ring. Take it, use it, you can live a better life. As for revenge, after I come out of the extreme royal secret realm, we brothers will plan it together." Ling Xiao said, "You can't do it alone." "But boss, I can implicate you. This is our Ling family's matter." Ling Yan didn't take the storage ring and simply said, "Don't worry." "Implicate? You call me boss, but now you're saying you're afraid of implicating me. Don't you think it's ridiculous? Moreover, For the sake of the Ling family, I've already become like fire and water with the royal family. If you want me to help, I'll help. If you don't want me to help, I'll help. After all, we're brothers who have gone through life and death together. Ling Zhao's expression changed. Ling Yan was moved. He wanted to say something, but after opening his mouth, he didn't say anything. His enemy was the Chen nation's royal family. Yet, Ling Xiao actually said that he would take revenge for him. What kind of brotherly affection was this? All right, Ling Yan, you can go back first. Remember, keep a low profile for now. Don't act rashly on your own. Wait for me to come out. Ling Xiao repeated. All right, boss, I'll listen to you. However, this Ji-hyun of Silla is not a good thing. Aren't you afraid of danger for your woman to stay there? Ling Yan suddenly said, You know everything. Yes. Actually, after the incident the restaurant spread, I knew it was you, boss. Ling Yan nodded. Brat, you're quite smart. All right, after I enter the royal mystic realm, help me observe the situation here. It should be safe for the time being. Ling Xiao smiled. Yes, boss, don't worry. I'll treat sister-in-law the same way I treat you. I'll protect her with my life. What else was there to say? Ling Xiao was willing to make an enemy of the royal family for him. Naturally, he could also sacrifice his life to protect Ling Zhao's woman. With you here, I'm much more at ease. Your current cultivation is even stronger than mine. Ling Xiao patted Ling Yan heavily. Only then did the two brothers reluctantly part. When they left, Ling Yan didn't ask for the treasures. He said that he wanted Ling Xiao to distribute them. Ling Xiao thought about it and didn't refuse. Ling Yan was currently in the dragon cult. He was probably being watched at all times. If he suddenly obtained such wealth, it would be very troublesome. It was better for him to keep it first. 2 days later, the royal mystic realm opened. Ling Xiao, Lin Ruoxian, and Moon Death came to the main hall of the king's mansion. They were somewhat excited as they waited to enter the royal mystic realm. As for Yu Fenghua, Ling Xiao didn't inform her. He didn't want to bear the pain of parting. Although it was only half a month, Ling Xiao still felt a little reluctant to part with it. After all, he had just found the woman he loved. A moment later, Ji-hyun of Silla and the 6 people appeared outside the main hall. All right, Ling Xiao, Lin Ruoxian, and Moon Death. The 3 of you go with Avadinia and the others to the royal mystic realm. Ji-hyun of Silla didn't say much. He had already told Avadinia and the other 6 in advance. He definitely couldn't let Ling Xiao come out of the royal mystic realm alive. This was his greatest expectation. All right, Ling Xiao nodded. He led Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death out of the king's mansion with Avadinia and the others. The royal mystic realm is naturally located in the Arcana Academy. The Arcana Academy is located outside of Lidu. Therefore, they are heading out of the city. Kid, you better behave. Don't think that you can strut around just because you defeated my little brother. No agreements. If you piss us off and meet with danger in the royal mystic realm, don't blame us for not helping you. Wu Yan warned. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and didn't mind. He just wanted to use Ji-hyun of Silla to step into the royal mystic realm. He didn't need the protection of these people. If these guys didn't touch him, he wouldn't do anything either. However, if these guys wanted to die, he definitely wouldn't be merciful. No agreements seems to have recovered from his injuries. Since he's healed, he should be obedient and stop being stupid. Ling Xiao glanced at no agreements and smiled faintly. He's obviously scolding the locust while pointing at the mulberry. He said no agreements, but he's actually warning the other 6 people. Wu Yan wanted to flip out, but Avadinia stopped him. Don't forget His Highness' words. Don't make a move until we enter the royal mystic realm. He's a dead man anyways. Why bother with a few words? His eyes told the other 5 what to do next. They left Lidu and walked about 2 to 3 li. Suddenly, the scenery in front of them changed. The sky seemed to be condensed with royal qi, forcing them to look up. At this time, Avadinia coldly said to Ling Xiao and company, Listen up, we will arrive at the Arcana Academy. First, we need to pay a visit to the Arcana Academy's dean. Our Chun country's king is called Lei Di, and this Arcana Academy's dean is the king's younger brother. He's called Lei Zun. They are all top experts in Chun country. After you meet them, you need to be careful with your words and actions. It doesn't matter if you want to die, but don't drag us down with you. Ling Shao found it funny. Lei Di, Lei Zun, just like the Holy Emperor of Heavenly Thunder. These are probably titles he gave himself. A mere Yin-Yang realm martial artist dares to call himself Di Zun. What a joke. If you're afraid of being dragged down, just tell Qin Kanglin not to let me stay with you guys. Do you really think I, Ling Shao, want to stay with you 6 idiots? Ling Shao saw that these 6 bastards were up to no good. The way they looked at him is like they're looking at a dead man. This made him very sure that Ji Hyun of Silla wants these 6 to attack him in the royal mystic realm. That's why his words didn't sound nice at all. Impudent! How dare you call Ji Hyun of Silla by his name? Do you want to die? Wu Yen scolded. Humph! Qin Kanglin and I are not subordinates. Why can't I call him by his name? On the other hand, you 6 dogs are really obedient. Chapter 26:17. Even the usually calm Avidinia was annoyed by Ling Zhao's words, but he could still tolerate it. Country bumpkin, keep being arrogant. Once you enter the imperial mystic realm, it will be your death. At that time, not only will you die, but your woman will also become the prince's woman. Let's see what else you can do. Wu Ming cursed in his heart and didn't say anything else. He silently passed through the forest in front of him. The Arcana Academy was built in the middle of the forest. The Arcana Academy was very large, like a huge beast entrenched in the forest. It constantly emitted a mysterious and terrifying aura. It was rumored that the Arcana Academy had its own army, called the Mystic Realm Guards. These people were carefully selected from the Arcana Academy's disciples. The weakest among them was at the early stage of the 9th level of hell, although there were only 30,000 of them, not as many as the Imperial Guards in the Royal City. In terms of combat strength, they were no weaker than the Imperial Guards. As for the other armies, they were even weaker. Unless it was the army of the Flying Eagle Killing God or the Warhawk Divine General. They would only die if they encountered these 30,000 Mystic Realm Guards. Of course, these 30,000 Mystic Realm Guards were not the most terrifying. The most terrifying was the Thunder Senior, the Dean of the Arcana Academy, and the 7 elders under the Dean. These 8 people were practically the top existences in the entire Qin state. Besides the Thunder Emperor and Chun Wang, there was probably no one who could compare to them. And the Thunder Senior was very loyal to the Thunder Emperor. He had never thought of usurping the throne. Therefore, when the Thunder Emperor and the Thunder Senior worked together, the Chun state was as stable as a rock. I wonder who will enter the Imperial Mystic Realm this time, but the royal family of the Qin state values it so much. It won't be easy to get the Imperial Supreme Grass. Ling Shao thought to himself as he looked at the academy, but in the blink of an eye, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He liked difficulties. The harder it was to obtain something, the greater the sense of accomplishment after obtaining it. Since Ji Hyun of Silla had bribed him before, it was not difficult for Ling Shao to enter the Arcana Academy. After entering the Arcana Academy, Avidinia and the others led him directly to the Dean's residence. If one wanted to enter the Arcana Academy, they had to get the approval of the Dean. Even Ji Hyun of Silla could not overstep his authority. Legend had it that the cultivation of this Dean, the Thunder Supreme, had reached the late stage of the 11th level of hell. Such powerful strength was only slightly weaker than the Thunder Emperor. I don't care what cultivation you have. You'd better not provoke me. Otherwise, even if you're the Heavenly Emperor, I'll kill you. Ling Shao snorted coldly in his heart. However, his face was still as calm as an ancient well, as if nothing could shake his conviction. On the way to the director's office, they passed by a building. Outside the building, there were close to 5,000 secret realm guardians. Moreover, The surroundings of the building were all protected by formations. Even so, there was still a surge of heavenly chi released from inside, which made people feel very strange. That should be the entrance to the Imperial Secret Realm. Ling Xiao thought to himself. He wanted to go in now, but he still had to go through the necessary procedures. Not long after, they were already outside the director's office. The Thunder Supreme has ordered that those who want to enter the Imperial Secret Realm must wait outside. He is resting and is not to be disturbed. Outside the director's office stood a woman wearing a sinister silver armor. She was very strong. However, she was only the personal guard of the Thunder Supreme. Of course, this waiting was not just for them. When Ling Xiao and the others arrived, there were already many people here. Hee, you're so arrogant when you're strong enough. You're really putting on airs. Ling Xiao smiled. This was normal in the mystic world, so he had nothing to be disgusted with. He casually found a place to sit down and took advantage of this waiting opportunity to cultivate. Stinking brat, don't you know this is the director's office? How dare you be so disrespectful? Stand up and wait. Right at this moment, one of the Academy's disciples who was preparing to enter the Imperial Mystic Realm suddenly shouted at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao did not move at all. He was still sitting there cross-legged, not even lifting his eyelids. Bastard! This person roared and directly pounced at Ling Xiao, wanting to teach Ling Xiao a lesson. However, before he reached, he was stopped by Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death. This guy's cultivation was only at the early stage of the 8th level of hell. Lin Ruoxian or Moon Death could easily subdue him. The two of them worked together and easily pressed this guy to the ground, making him kneel in front of Ling Xiao. After kneeling from morning to afternoon, Ling Xiao slowly opened his eyes and looked at the idiot in front of him. The Thunder Seigneur didn't say anything. So what are you yelling for? He opened his eyes because he felt that a monster had awakened in the director's office. That should be the sleeping Thunder Seigneur. All right, Sister Ruoxian, Moon Death, let that ignorant guy go. He's been kneeling for a few hours. It's about time. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, stood up, and walked towards the director's office. At this moment, the door to the director's office opened. A terrifying aura was released from inside. This aura contained lightning and thunder, causing the disciples of the Mystic Realm Academy to tremble in fear. Come in. A voice rang out as loud as thunder. Many people did not have time to cover their ears, and blood dripped from their ears. They were obviously heavily injured. Although Ling Xiao was fine, he knew that the bird that pokes its head out gets shot, so he did not rush in. After the people in front of him recovered, he followed at the back and walked into the director's office. The director's office was huge, not to mention a few dozen people. Even a few hundred people could be easily accommodated. Just standing at the door of the director's office, one could feel a terrifying aura rushing towards them. Through the gaps in the crowd, Ling Xiao saw a huge bed. This bed was made of 1,000-year-old ice and was extremely huge. On the bed, a huge figure was lying there like a monster. Is this still a human? Ling Xiao could not help but sigh. This guy was estimated to be 4 to 5 meters tall, but that was nothing. The most important thing was that his body was shockingly fat. He was so round that one could not even see his head. Only his huge belly was exposed, blocking everyone's view. However, it was this strange monster that no one dared to laugh at. Everyone knew that this Thunder Seigneur was not easy to deal with. His terrifying strength made countless people in the Chen Nation tremble in fear. This year's batch of new disciples is not bad. But as for how much you are worth, we will only know after entering the extreme royal mystic realm. The round Thunder Seigneur's voice was like a morning bell, and it sounded very oppressive. Chapter 26:18. The new disciples of the Arcana Academy stay. The rest of you go outside. The Thunder Seigneur said lightly. It sounded like he wanted to test the strength of the new disciples of the Arcana Academy. There were many counties in the capital of the Qin Kingdom, but only 3 people could join the Arcana Academy and become a new disciple of the Arcana Academy. and those who were recognized by the prince and the king were even less qualified to enter the royal secret realm. Therefore, there were only 64 people left in the president's office. 64 people all stood in the president's office, but they only took up a small part of it. The president's office was big enough to accommodate all of them. After all, the president, the Thunder Senior, took up too much space. If the president's office was not big enough, it might not even be able to accommodate him. Kneel! Suddenly, a voice came from the mouth of the Thunder Senior. This voice was filled with an incomparably terrifying aura. It was like a ferocious beast pouncing towards them, wanting to press everyone to the ground. Following the order of the Thunder Senior, out of the 64 people, 60 of them actually knelt down. There were only 4 people who were still standing. Besides Ling Xiao, there were 3 other people. One of them was actually the ninja warrior that Ling Xiao had met in the Sky Dragon continent. He was surprised at first, but after thinking about it, he was relieved, since he could reincarnate to the Black Tortoise continent. There must be geniuses among the ninjas. It was normal for them to reincarnate to the Black Tortoise continent. This ninja warrior was a woman. She was not very tall, about 1.5 meters, but her strength was not bad. Her eyes were always full of charm. She was definitely not easy to deal with. There was another person who emitted a terrifying aura that only warriors on the battlefield could release. He must have been selected from the army. The third person was a bit mysterious. His whole body was covered in black clothes, leaving only his eyes exposed. He looked mysterious and special. Ha ha ha, 4 of you can still stand. Not bad, not bad. Seeing the 4 people standing, the Thunder Senior laughed loudly. The rest of you who are kneeling don't need to be afraid. I just want to check if your identities match the information. After saying that, his smiling face suddenly turned gloomy. He suddenly opened his mouth and blew. A bolt of lightning struck 4 of the 64 people, killing them on the spot. Fortunately, most of the people matched the information. However, these 4 fellows attempted to sneak in and cause trouble. The Lightning Senior smiled faintly. Killing 4 people was nothing to him. You are Ruri Ueno. Raisin looked at the ninja woman and asked. The ninja woman's face was originally filled with seduction, but at this moment there was only fear and awe. In front of the Lightning Senior, she knew that she was not worth mentioning. She hurriedly answered submissively, This disciple is indeed Ruri Ueno. Cultivation? The Lightning Senior asked. Dean, my cultivation base is at the peak of the 9th level of hell. Ruri Ueno replied. Not bad. You are only 16 years old, but you already have such a cultivation base. You are indeed a genius. Ueno Shin, your daughter is not bad. Looks like your Ueno family has a successor. The Lightning Senior looked at the person beside him and smiled. This Ueno Shin should be one of the 7 elders of the Arcana Academy. Although he was not as strong as the Lightning Senior, he was still very powerful. Anyway, with Ling Xiao's current strength, he was definitely not a match for this guy. Thank you, Lightning Senior, for thinking so highly of my daughter. She is indeed talented and hardworking. That is why she has such achievements. Ueno Shin hurriedly said. Good, very good. Continue to work hard. The Lightning Senior nodded and looked at the next person. It was the martial artist from the military. You are Gufang, 19 years old this year? Well, you are a bit old, but your cultivation base is not bad. Early stage of the 10th level of hell. Very good. I heard that Gu Tianba's son died, so he took you as his godson. You must be filial to your godson. Don't disappoint him, the Lightning Senior said. Yes, Dean. Gufang lowered his head and cupped his hands. At this moment, Ling Xiao frowned. He was not particularly afraid of that Ueno Liuli, but this Gufang was a bit troublesome. With a cultivation base of the 10th level of hell, if they met in the Imperial Secret Realm, it would be best not to be enemies with him. Well, you are called Long The Lightning Senior looked at the black-clothed person beside Ling Xiao. Yes, that person indifferently replied. He did not have the reverence of Gu Fong and Wayno Lili at all. Show your true face. This is the basic etiquette, the lightning seigneur coldly said. I am sorry. Since I was born, I have always covered my face. My mother said that once the black cloth is removed, I will kill and even eat people. Long Yi still said indifferently. There was not the slightest fluctuation in his emotions, as if the lightning seigneur was not worth mentioning in front of him. Humph! This dean wants to see whether you will eat people or not. Remove the black cloth. The lightning seigneur coldly snorted. Long Yi shrugged his shoulders. Since the dean wants to see, I will show you. He stretched out his hand. That hand was as delicate as white jade, not like the hand of a man, but more like the hand of a woman. It made people think that this man was more beautiful than a woman. However, the moment the black cloth was removed, everyone was shocked. It had to be said that this man's face was indeed perfect, but there was a flaw. That was his mouth was too big. It was not just big, it had already split open to the base of his ears. The most terrifying thing was that the teeth in his mouth were like those of a fierce carnivore. It was very ugly, just as Long Yi had said. The moment the black cloth was removed, his eyes suddenly became scarlet. Then he opened his bloody mouth and bit towards a nearby cultivator. And this martial artist that was bitten was none other than Yushang. Moon Death was suppressed by the lightning seigneur's aura and was unable to make a move at this moment. That bloody mouth was about to swallow her. A sword light pierced from the side. It was sharp, and had the terrifying temperature of lava. Long Yi's big mouth bit the sword edge, but he was not injured. Instead, the owner of the sword light was forced back more than 10 steps. The one who released the sword light was naturally Ling Xiao. Because of the urgency of the situation, he did not have time to transform. This collision could be considered a loss, but in any case he saved Moon Death. Enough, put on your black cloth. The lightning seigneur ordered. Long Yi instantly wrapped up the black cloth. Then, indifferently looking at Ling Xiao, he revealed a hint of banter. The sword is not bad, but in your hands it is really a waste. Ling Xiao's face was somewhat gloomy. If this Long Yi had directly apologized after returning to normal, perhaps he would not be angry. However, not only did this person not have any intention to apologize, he even mocked him and even coveted the white jade flying dragon sword in his hand. This made him very unhappy. Whether it is a waste or not, it is not up to you to decide. Chapter 26:19. Long Yi, you're only 13 years old, but you're already at the peak of the 9th level of hell. Your potential is truly terrifying. Do well. That immortal grade magic treasure is nothing. The lightning seigneur smiled. Clearly, the lightning seigneur was very satisfied with Long Yi. Lord Dean, Long Yi has a presumptuous request. Can you let that kid give me that sword? Long Yi suddenly smiled. The lightning seigneur looked at Ling Xiao and said, You were introduced by Tsanglan, right? You're only 16 years old, but you're already at the peak of the 8th level of hell. That's not bad, but you're far from being a genius. I really don't know why that kid thinks so highly of you. However, you're also not bad for being able to stand under the pressure of this dean. How about this? Give the white jade flying dragon sword to Long Yi. Later, you can ask Tsanglan for another one. In any case, Tsanglan has many immortal grade magic treasures. What if I don't agree? Although Ling Xiao had no hope of winning against the lightning seigneur, he couldn't give the white jade flying dragon sword to Long Yi. How dare you? You dare to disobey the orders of the lightning seigneur. Bo Yi suddenly stood up. He was the patriarch of the Bo Yi clan, one of the 8 great clans of Thunder City. He was also one of the 7 elders of the Arcana Academy. He was also one of the strategists of the Lightning Emperor. He absolutely wouldn't allow anyone to look down on his royal authority. The Thunder Senior was a sovereign who stood shoulder to shoulder. In the Chun Nation, He was someone who stood on equal footing with the Thunder Emperor. Offending him was the same as offending the Qin nation's royal family. Ling Xiao looked at Bo Yi. This person had completely released his aura, so Ling Xiao could see his cultivation. He was at the peak of the 10th level of hell. Ling Xiao definitely couldn't fight against such a cultivation at his current level. But so what if he couldn't fight back? Ling Xiao couldn't be a coward. At worst, he could escape now. When he was strong enough, he could come back and tear down Thunder City. He would make the person who humiliated him pay the price. Orders have to be fair. If I feel that it's unfair, I can naturally disobey. Ling Xiao said coldly. Bo Ye's murderous intent. The lightning seigneur's expression was unsightly. He really wanted to slap Ling Xiao to death and end this matter. However, the problem was that Ling Xiao was a martial artist recommended by Qin Kanglin. That nephew of his was not easy to fool. If he really killed Ling Xiao here, it would probably cause discord between uncle and nephew. It was really not worth it for such a small country bumpkin. That's enough, Watano Shin. The lightning seigneur waved his hand, indicating for Bo Yi to sit down. Then he looked at Ling Xiao and said, Next, this dean will test each of your combat strength. Only after reaching a certain level will you be allowed to enter the extreme royal mystic realm. Otherwise, you'll just be throwing your lives away. Ling Xiao, listen up. If your performance can be better than Long Yi's, then take it as if I didn't say anything. What do you think? Disciple obeys. Ling Xiao knew that if he still refused, he would definitely be attacked by the Thunder Seigneur. Since it was just a competition of ability, he wasn't afraid. Good, you have guts. The rules are simple, the Lightning Seigneur said with a smile. I'll just sit here and defend. This dean has a secret technique that can test the power of each person's attack. There's no need to be afraid. Use your strongest attack to deal with this dean. When the time comes, I'll give you a score. The score will be low, medium, high, and top. You can start now. It doesn't matter who goes first. Ling Xiao naturally planned to start after Long Yi. That way, he could set his own attack power according to Long Yi's attack power. Otherwise, casually revealing his strength wouldn't be beneficial to him. Ruri Ueno, you'll be the first. Lead the way for everyone. The Lightning Seigneur looked at Watano Ruri and said, Disciple obeys. Watano Ruri nodded. She was only 16 years old, but her cultivation had already reached the peak of the 9th level of hell. Naturally, she couldn't fall behind in this matter. She had to perform well. At the very least, she had to be second. After all, Gufang's cultivation was too strong. In this aspect, she couldn't compare. Other than Gufang, she felt that she couldn't lose to anyone. In an instant, the charming woman turned into a terrifying, cold-blooded killer. A ninja blade about 3 feet long appeared in her hand. The blade was blood red. It was actually a divine grade spirit artifact saber. Well, even the 8 Immortal Mountain had a divine grade spirit weapon. How could Watano Ruri, as the beloved daughter of the Watano clan, not have one? The terrifying blood-red saber released an astonishing, murderous aura. Ling Xiao couldn't help but frown. He had to admit that Watano Ruri's attack was very powerful. Top-tier Jade grade martial skill, blood-red nightmare. Ueno Ruri condensed all of his aura on that terrifying blood-red long blade. Then her figure suddenly became hazy, as if she didn't exist at all. A blood-red nightmare demon appeared in the air. This caused some of the martial artists to tremble in fear. The blood-red nightmare swallowed terrifying sword chi and killing intent as it unstoppably attacked the Lightning Seigneur. This should be a top-tier Jade grade martial skill. Looking at the level of mastery, it's clearly cultivated to the perfection stage. This woman is really strong. Currently, Ling Zhao's strongest offensive martial skill was only at this level. Although he had cultivated Heavenly Thunder Guard to the small completion stage, it was still an auxiliary martial skill. As for the Imperial Spirit Lightning Shield, it was a defensive martial skill, not an offensive martial skill. Genius! She was indeed a genius. Will the lightning seigneur really not move? Ling Xiao looked at the lightning seigneur. Facing such a powerful attack, what would the lightning seigneur do? Although the lightning seigneur said that he wouldn't make a move, could he really do it? In the next moment, Ling Xiao's eyes narrowed into slits. He did it. The lightning seigneur didn't make a move. He didn't even bat an eyelid. When Watano Ruri's attack landed on the lightning seigneur, it was like a clay ox entering the sea. It was as if the attack had never happened. Tiske, this gap is really big. Although he knew how terrifying the lightning seigneur was, Watano Ruri, who was at the peak of the 9th level of hell, with a divine grade spirit weapon, couldn't even hurt a hair on his head. This still surprised Ling Xiao a little. What should I do? Ling Xiao closed his eyes as images of the attack flashed in his mind. That was the Tai Chi Eyes quick analysis. Watano Ruri, high grade. Well done. Watano Ruri was obviously disappointed when she heard that it was only high grade. However, Gu Feng's next attack also only got a high grade. Ling Xiao discovered that although Gu Feng's cultivation was higher than Wei No Liuli's, whether it was his weapon or martial technique, he was inferior to Wei No Liuli. Thus, the power of his attack was not much stronger than Wei No Liuli's. If the high grade was divided into 9 levels, then Watano Ruri would be high grade level 6 and Gu Feng would be high grade level 9. Although they were slightly stronger, the gap wasn't big. They were still in the high grade range. Chapter 26-20. Wei No Liuli and Gu Feng took the lead. The rest of the martial artists also attacked. In any case, there was no danger, so it didn't matter. But among these people, the one with the highest score was only average. Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death also got average. In the end, only Long Yi and Ling Xiao were left. Both of them seemed to want the other to attack first. This way, it would be easier to control the rhythm. They looked at each other. Long Yi suddenly said, "Forget it, I'll go first. In any case, you can't surpass me." He sneered and suddenly attacked the lightning seigneur. He held a strange black iron rod in his hand. The front part of the iron rod was sharp and released a strange black aura. It didn't look imposing, but its attack was very powerful. It even made the lightning seigneur frown. Rating, top grade 8. Kid, you're not bad. Among the new disciples this dean has tested, you have the highest rating in history. Previously, you were at most top grade 7. The lightning seigneur was very happy. Having such a powerful young man as his subordinate was definitely a kind of luck. Many thanks for the dean's praise. Long Yi returned to his original place. Then, proudly looking at Ling Xiao, he revealed a contemptuous expression. "Ling Xiao, you should give that white jade flying dragon sword to Long Yi. You're not his opponent at all." The lightning seigneur said indifferently, "Your test score can't be higher than his. Not to mention Long Yi. This country bumpkin can't even compare to me." Wei No Liuli ridiculed. "I've heard of his deeds long ago. He actually made a scene in a restaurant just after entering Thunder City, and even destroyed other people's restaurants. He simply doesn't put Thunder City's laws in his eyes. If it wasn't for Her Highness Jihyun of Silla protecting him, this kid would have already died." Ling Xiao ignored Wei No Liuli and looked at the lightning seigneur. "If you haven't tried, how do you know you can't compare?" Simply ignorant. Wei No Liuli felt that she was being looked down upon and was very unhappy. "Fine. Since you want to lose face, then let's start. This dean wants to see how strong your attack is." The Thunder Seigneur also looked at Ling Xiao calmly. He was a little angry in his heart. He had never seen a kid who didn't know when to back down. She had already given him a lot of face, but he was actually so tactless. However, he did not realize how unfair his actions were. He only felt that it was Ling Xiao's fault. "Dean, be careful. Swords have no eyes. Theoretically speaking, even if Dean's divine skills are unparalleled, if an ordinary person finds your life gate, they can still hurt you." Ling Xiao took out the white jade flying dragon sword. He did not intend to use the 8 immortal sword. This was because the requirements for the special grade 9th grade were not high. If he could injure the lightning senior, then his score would naturally be higher. White Jade Flying Dragon Sword could arouse the greed of Long E, then male and female 8 immortal swords. Long E reckoned that Long E would be even more greedy. Therefore, it was better to be careful here. Since he didn't have to go all out, he might as well hide some of his strength. The 8 immortal swords and the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit were unnecessary. He could try other things. Ha ha ha, is he talking in his sleep? Long E couldn't injure Lightning Senior. And this kid actually said such words. Is he crazy? Bo Yi Chen let out a hearty laugh. He felt that there was something wrong with Ling Xiao's brain. He actually lowered himself to the same level as this fool. Is it very funny? Ling Xiao raised the white jade flying dragon sword indifferently. An ice-cold sword intent condensed on the sword. In an instant, he entered the purple lightning thunder bull, beast soul transformation. Then, the top-level lightning battle body was released. Lightning wrapped around his body, flickering with a bright light. The white jade flying dragon sword was also flickering with lightning. Beast warrior, top-level lightning battle body. Hee hee, no wonder you are a little confident. However, if you want to injure this dean with just this, isn't it too whimsical? The Thunder Senior said disdainfully. Ling Xiao did not speak, just condensing his move. Each person could only make one attack. This attack was a test. Anyway, the Thunder Senior said that he would not make a move, so he could strengthen this attack as much as possible. In terms of offensive skills, perhaps he was about the same as Bo Yilioli. But in terms of support skills, Bo Yilioli could not catch up to him. Purple Lightning, Thunder, Bull, Beast, Soul Transformation Support. Top-level Lightning Battle Body Support. Royal Heaven, Earth Power Support. Attack Battle Song Support. Berserk Battle Song Support. A total of 10 battle songs were accumulated. This was also the limit that Ling Xiao could accumulate at the moment. Of course, the battle songs could not be used in normal attacks, and it was impossible to accumulate so many. But now that the enemy was not moving, he naturally did as he pleased. Moreover, the support skills of the battle songs could be used by any soul race, so it would not expose his identity. It's about time. Ling Xiao took a deep breath. Suddenly, he stabbed out with his sword. He used a top-level Jade grade martial skill, the strongest move of the shadow martial arts below the Jade grade. Ghost War Emperor. Thunder and lightning intertwined. The terrifying white jade flying dragon sword drove the surrounding elements, forming a terrifying elemental storm that attacked the Thunder Senior. The Thunder Senior frowned slightly, but he did not care. Although the attack was strong, it still could not hurt him, so he did not care at all. Purple Lightning, Thunder Bull, Earthquake. Just when Ling Xiao was less than a meter away from the Thunder Senior, he suddenly activated the special skill of the Purple Lightning, Thunder Bull. At that moment, the Thunder Senior felt slightly dizzy. Although he didn't pass out completely, it affected his ability to make a move. When he reacted, the sword was already in front of him. The Thunder Senior could not defend as calmly as before, and could only concentrate on blocking. However, just as his move was about to take shape, his face changed drastically. No! When he yelled out, Yi Zichen's voice rang out. Suddenly, there was a clap of thunder behind him. Berserk Thunder Art. The terrifying thunder directly struck down from above his head. At this moment, the Thunder Senior's entire defense was focused on the person in front of him, and he did not expect that someone would attack from behind. This was a complete miscalculation. Without defense, even an ordinary person could hurt him, not to mention Ling Xiao. Moreover, the Berserk Thunder Art was actually a terrifying attack that was enhanced by many support skills. The so-called Ghost War Emperor's move was just a pretense. The Thunder Senior did not scream. However, his face was ashen, because he was really hurt. Ever since he became the Dean of the Arcana Academy, there had never been a new disciple who could hurt him. This scene made everyone present dumbfounded. as if they had been struck dumb, especially the father and daughter pair, Bo Yi Chin and Bo Yi Luli. They felt as if they had been slapped in the face, and that was called embarrassment and humiliation. Ling Xiao retreated back to his original position, and the one who attacked the Thunder Seigneur from behind was actually a humanoid lightning, the Heavenly Thunder Guard. Ling Xiao released the Berserk Thunder art through the Heavenly Thunder Guard. The power of the Heavenly Thunder Guard combined with the Berserk Thunder art was even more powerful than when Ling Xiao used it himself. Chapter 26-21. Of course, the Lightning Seigneur was indeed powerful. Ling Xiao believed that if it had been any of the 7 elders, they would have been severely injured. But the Lightning Seigneur only suffered some superficial wounds. Men, kill this brat! Bo Yi Xin suddenly came back to his senses and bellowed. Bo Yi Liuli connected seamlessly and pounced on Ling Xiao. She didn't expect Ling Xiao to injure the Lightning Seigneur, but now that he was injured, she could take the opportunity to kill Ling Xiao. Stop! At this moment, the Lightning Seigneur roared and sent Bo Yi Liuli flying. He looked coldly at Ling Xiao and said, "Good, very good. A martial artist at the peak of the 8th level of Hell, Yin-Yang realm, can actually injure this Dean. Your score is superior grade. Superior grade. Thank you, Dean." Ling Xiao cupped his hands and said he had used up a chance to use Earthquake and Mountain, and also used up a chance to condense Heavenly Thunder Guard. Only then did he manage to injure the Lightning Seigneur. One must know that Earthquake and Mountain could only be used once every half an hour. The Heavenly Thunder Guard required even more time. Currently, he could only condense it once a day. However, Ling Xiao didn't know how rare it was to injure the Lightning Seigneur. The 7 elders, including Long Yi, Gufang, and Bo Yilioli, looked at Ling Xiao with disbelief. Everyone thought that the one with the best performance would be Long Yi. But Ling Xiao broke their imaginations, making them feel that their imaginations were so laughable. Of course, Ling Xiao's achievement naturally offended some people. For example, Bo Yixin and Bo Yilioli. They had originally mocked and ridiculed Ling Xiao, but now Ling Xiao had ruthlessly slapped their faces. They naturally harbored hatred in their hearts. Of course, this hatred wasn't deep, but it was enough to make these people who were usually high and mighty feel that Ling Xiao deserved to die. The other person was Long Yi. Long Yi looked down on Ling Xiao and directly wanted the white jade flying dragon, sort of Ling Xiao. He thought that he would definitely win, but in the end he became a joke. What this kind of person hated the most was losing face, even though he knew that he hadn't used his full strength, resulting in the current outcome. He still couldn't believe it, but he was still very angry. There was another person who had a love-hate relationship with Ling Xiao. This person was the Lightning Seigneur. Love. That was because Ling Xiao's talent had truly shocked him. As long as such a talent was willing to serve the royal family, he would definitely become a great help to the Chen Kingdom's royal family. The hatred was because Ling Xiao had contradicted him time and time again, and had even given him a fierce slap on the face. This made him a little unhappy. However, the Lightning Seigneur was the Lightning Seigneur after all, not Bo Yixin. Being in a high position, he would naturally be more open-minded. Now that he had the intention of subduing Ling Xiao, he no longer had the intention to kill him. I was the one who made an error in judgment. Brat, you're good. However, you'll have to continue working hard in the Royal Mystic Realm. In actual combat, there won't be any enemies waiting for you to use so many support skills. The Lightning Seigneur said indifferently, yes. At this time, the test was completely over. Naturally, the Lightning Seigneur already had an idea of who was qualified to enter the Royal Mystic Realm. Bo Yixin announced the list of those who passed the test. The Lightning Seigneur turned his head and glanced at Bo Yixin, then threw over a piece of paper. There weren't many names, only a dozen or so. It seemed that most of them had already been eliminated. Bo Yixin read, a total of 12 people passed the test. Ling Shao, Long Yi Bo Yi Ruri, Gufang, Lin Ruoxian, Moon Death. Those who heard the names were naturally very happy. Those who didn't hear their names could only sigh in their hearts. So what if they were unconvinced? The lightning seigneur was here, and the 7 elders were also here. They didn't dare to say anything disrespectful. What was interesting was that these 12 people actually belonged to 4 people. Long Yi and the other 2 were selected by Qin Wang. Ling Shao, Lin Ruoxian, and Moon Death were Ji Hyun of Silla's people. Bo Yi Ruri, Gufang, and the other 3 were 14th Prince's people. The remaining 2 were 7th Prince Chun Kangmeng's people. Their strength was average and unremarkable. Among the 12 people, they could only be considered average. Next, Bo Yi Xin briefly introduced the Royal Mystic Realm. According to him, the Royal Mystic Realm was very similar to ordinary mystic realms. The outer area was relatively safe, but the deeper you went, the more dangerous it was. The Arcana Academy divided the Royal Mystic Realm into soldier level, general level, king level, and untouchable areas. People had been to the first 3 levels, but no one had ever reached the untouchable areas. No one knew what was going on inside, because all martial artists would die as soon as they stepped into that area. But according to the characteristics of the Royal Mystic Realm, from the outside to the inside, the level of heaven and earth treasures would get higher and higher. The degree of ferocity of the demonic beasts would also get stronger. Of course, the benefits would also increase, and the speed of cultivation would also increase. Martial artists who had just entered the Royal Mystic Realm could only stay in the soldier level area. No matter how strong you were, you had to start from the most basic area. This was the rule. Of course, if you killed the strongest demonic beast or yuanling in the soldier level area, you would be able to obtain the Royal Mystic Realm. Or if you obtained the permission of the Lightning Emperor or Lightning Sage, you could enter other areas in advance. This was a special case. The soldier level area was very large, so it was divided into 8 hunting areas. The 7 elders and the most capable generals of the royal family were in charge of it. They were also known as hunting chiefs. Under normal circumstances, the various hunting areas were not allowed to infiltrate each other. This involved the rights and interests of the Thunder City's 8 great families. The benefits from the first hunting area to the 8th hunting area belonged to the royal family and the other 7 great families. No matter who entered, they had to take out 90% of the things they obtained to show respect to the bosses behind the scenes. Ling Shao and the others were assigned to the 7th hunting area. Long Yi was assigned to the 1st hunting area. Bo Yi Liuli Gufang and the others were assigned to the 8th hunting area. Chun Kangmeng's people were also assigned to the 6th hunting area. You can leave now. Take your soul locking plate. That is your only proof of entering the Royal Mystic Realm. If you lose it, then you will lose the qualifications to enter the Royal Mystic Realm forever. The hunting chiefs of the 1st, 6th, 7th, and 8th hunting areas are already waiting for you outside. They will tell you in detail what to do and what to do after entering. Bo Yi Liuli looked at the Lightning Sage and said, "Lord Lightning Sage, do you have any other instructions?" "That's all. Tell them to leave." The Lightning Sage yawned. Perhaps it was because his body was too fat, but he did not like to exercise. He always felt tired and wanted to sleep. "Good. Before you leave, I will warn you one last time. You must contribute 90% of the elixirs and treasures you obtain in the Royal Mystic Realm to the 8 great families. If anyone dares to secretly hide or refuse to hand it over, then there is only one final result: death. Not only will you die, but your family and friends will also die." Chapter 26-22. Many people felt fear towards Kenbo Ye's threat, but Ling Shao felt even more disgusted. "Your sister, I'm going in to risk my life and death, and you actually want 90% of it? How shameless." Walking out of the principal's office, Ruri Bo Yi suddenly walked to Ling Zhao's side. In front of everyone, she said coldly, "Brat, after entering the Imperial secret realm, you better restrain yourself. Don't let me touch you. You dare to steal my limelight. You dare to injure Lord Lightning. You have already committed a capital offense. She is threatening Ling Xiao in front of everyone. Obviously, she doesn't take Ling Xiao seriously. It's still not certain who will die. Don't provoke me. Ling Xiao didn't have a good impression of the ninjas. When he was in the Sky Dragon continent, he was often targeted by the ninjas. Later, the ninjas in the Sky Dragon continent even surrendered to the Sea Clan and disappeared from the Sky Dragon continent. Ling Xiao didn't pay much attention to them, but he didn't expect to come to the Black Tortoise continent and meet these guys again. He hasn't flipped out yet, and the other party is actually threatening him? How can he shrink back? You're courting death. Ruri Boyi is so agitated that she wants to attack. Ling Xiao looks at her with contempt. A coward who bullies the weak and fears the strong. Even if I give you 100 guts, you still wouldn't dare to attack me in front of your master. Since you don't dare to attack me, then put away your high and mighty face. In my eyes, you're just a dog of the royal family. You're so arrogant in front of me. With a sneer, he turned around and walked away in a grandiose manner. Ruri Boyi wants to attack him several times, but she holds herself back in the end. Ling Xiao is right. This is outside the principal's office. Even if Ruri Boyi has 100 guts, she won't dare to attack. Just you wait. The Imperial secret realm will be your doomsday. Ruri Boyi fiercely clenches her teeth. Her originally beautiful face becomes incomparably sinister. You're really a troublemaker. You have a conflict with the Boyi family again? Don't you know that Prince Jihyun of Silla is trying to rope in the Boyi clan? The conversation between Ling Xiao and Waino Ruri was heard clearly by Avidinia and the others. Avidinia was very dissatisfied with Ling Xiao. Scram! I'm not Jihyun of Silla's dog. I don't care who he's trying to rope in. That Waino Ruri wanted to deal with me. I'm already giving her face by not slapping her. Ling Xiao didn't give Avidinia any face at all. In any case, he was very clear that after entering the extreme imperial mystic realm, these people would absolutely make a move against him. Since they were already like fire and water, it shouldn't be a problem to say something even harsher. Good. Hello. You are very good. Apart from stirring up trouble, do you have anything else to do? Could he have been eliminated? Avidinia was so angry that his face turned ashen as he roared. Nonsense. Do you really think I'm a piece of trash like your brother No Agreements? Ling Xiao coldly said. If others don't treat him nicely, he wouldn't treat them nicely either. You dare call my brother a piece of trash? You should know that he got an advanced level 9 score in the previous exam. What about you? I'm afraid you didn't even get an advanced level, right? At this time, Wu Yan roared. Ling Xiao coldly laughed. He found it very funny. What are you laughing at? Avidinia hated Ling Xiao's cold laugh the most. It made him feel like an idiot. Idiot, my Ling Xiao. Gidge got an advanced level score, better than any of you. Moon Death said agitatedly. Advanced level? I've never heard of such a score. Did you make it up yourself? No Agreements said in disdain. No, he did get a superior grade. It's a grade above special grade because he injured Lord Lightning Senior. At this time, Long Yi passed by and indifferently said, This newcomer of yours is very amazing. He even dared to injure Lord Lightning. Interesting. What? Hearing this, Avidinia and the others were shocked and also felt that this is very inconceivable. Ling Xiao actually managed to injure the Lightning Senior? Wasn't this a little too ridiculous? Avidinia was about to say something when a person walked over from not far away. This person is wearing silver armor. He looks about 30 years old. He is the hunting chief of the 7th district. You guys are the disciples who want to enter the 7th district, right? I am Gale, the hunting chief of the 7th district. Follow me. Gale brought them to the place closest to the entrance of the Imperial secret domain, and then said, Now, you guys have about an hour of free time. I estimate that the hunters of the 7th district will come out soon. At that time we will have a handover. So, within this hour, no matter what you do, you have to come back promptly." Hearing this, Avidinia and the others left, but Ling Xiao, Lin Ruoxian, and Moon Death didn't leave. In fact, one can't do much in an hour. Ling Xiao wanted to find out something from this hunting chief Gale. "Hunting chief, I once met a centurion called Lai Huang. What is the relationship between the two of you?" If he wanted to get closer, it might be easier to ask. Since Gale and Lai Huang had the same surname, he tried to ask. It didn't matter if they had a relationship, it would be of great help. "You guys actually know Lai Huang. He is my younger brother, now a centurion under Warhawk General," Gale said with a smile. Sure enough, because of Lai Huang, the attitude of the crack towards Ling Xiao was a lot better. "We met Centurion Lai Huang on the way to Thunder City. At that time he seemed to be injured, and we happened to save him, so we became friends." Although Ling Xiao's words were false, he believed that even if Gale asked Lai Huang would definitely not expose this lie. "I heard about this. You are Ling Xiao, the Lord of the 8 Immortal City?" Gale asked. "Yes." Ling Xiao nodded. "That's right. As the hunting chief of the 7th District, I have to remind you guys, Avidinia and the others might be unfavorable to you guys. So after entering the 7th District, it's best to split up. Because of the abundance of spirit energy in the Imperial Secret Realm, there are naturally many natural treasures. Normally, yellow rank and mystic rank herbs that are rarely seen outside can be easily found inside. Of course, the soldier grade area is basically filled with yellow rank herbs. Mystic rank herbs are relatively rare, and they are usually only low rank and mid rank. But even so, mystic rank herbs are still very precious in the entire state of Qin. Your mission is to collect herbs, and the other is to hunt demonic beasts and yuanling, because they eat the natural treasures in the Imperial Secret Realm for a long time. The demonic beasts inside can even be called treasure beasts. Eating treasure beasts can directly increase one's internal energy, but of course it requires a certain amount of medicinal pills to purify it. After all, the energy is not very pure, but even so, it is simply a dream for warriors. The stronger the treasure beast, the better the effect. Chapter 26-23. Perhaps it was because Ling Xiao and the others had saved Lai Huang before, so Gale explained it to them in detail. He hoped that they could really improve their strength through the Imperial Secret Realm. "Hunting head, I heard the elders say that we can't hide anything inside. Could it be that it's okay to eat the flesh and blood of demonic beasts?" Ling Xiao asked. "It seems that you have misunderstood this rule, or perhaps the elders deliberately made you misunderstand. In fact, every Arcana Academy disciple who enters the Imperial Secret Realm will receive a fixed mission. This mission will be distributed according to your strength. Some will be gathering missions, and some will be hunting missions. Basically, if you want to complete the mission, you won't be able to do anything else in this half a month. If you want to get benefits for yourself, then you must complete the mission in advance. I'll teach you a method. The best way to complete the mission in advance is to rob the mission materials of other Arcana Academy disciples. However, this method is what the elders like to do. As newcomers, it's better for you to hide if you're not strong enough. In any case, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. After your cultivation improves, there will be ways to get benefits." Hearing this, Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with excitement. Since this kind of robbery was in accordance with the rules, it was easy to handle. He believed that Wayno, Lioli, and Long, he wouldn't let him go. Also, Avidinia and the others wouldn't let him go either. However, these people definitely wouldn't directly kill him after entering. They would definitely wait until he was almost done with the mission, then kill him and rob him of everything. Since it was like this, he could only wait to be killed. After entering, he would first look for the Imperial Supreme Grass and improve his cultivation. This was his real goal. Soon, an hour had passed, and Avidinia and the others also returned. Seeing Ling Xiao and Gale's friendly appearance, Avidinia secretly sneered. "Building a good relationship with a hunting head is right, but do you really think that you can save your little life by doing this?" Wishful thinking. The hunting chief would not enter the area to hunt. He would only stay near the entrance of the area, unless he encountered a powerful demon beast or Yuanling warrior that the disciples could not handle. Therefore, Avidinia and the others had plenty of opportunities to deal with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao could naturally understand the killing intent in Avidinia's eyes, but he didn't care. Although Avidinia was very strong, Ling Xiao didn't care. However, Ling Xiao, definitely had the ability to protect himself. If he really couldn't do it, he still had a trump card. At that time, it was hard to say who would die. The entrance is open, Gale suddenly said. Ling Xiao focused his attention on the entrance to the Extreme Emperor Mystic Realm. At this moment, a whirlpool-like object appeared there. 2 people walked out from inside. Their expressions were very ugly. Why are there only 2 of you left? Weren't there 8 of you when you went in? Gale looked at the 2 and asked. Obviously, these 2 people were the Arcana Academy's disciples who had entered the 7th district. Dead, they're all dead. One of them said sadly, we encountered a demon beast. Only the 2 of us survived. Seeing the miserable appearance of these 2 people, the expressions of the new disciples of the Arcana Academy, who were originally excited, changed drastically. Although they had heard of how terrifying the Extreme Emperor Mystic Realm was, it was only hearsay. Without experiencing it personally, they didn't know how terrifying it was. Moreover, these people were all very proud. Naturally, they felt that it was nothing and that they were stronger than others. However, seeing these 2 senior disciples of the Arcana Academy injured to such an extent, and 6 of them had died, their hearts began to feel uneasy. This is the Extreme Emperor Mystic Realm, a place where opportunity and danger coexist. Gale sighed. All right, don't look anymore. Go in. Your soul lock cards will send you directly to the 7th district. No Agreements looked back at Ling Xiao and snickered. Kid, are you scared now? If you're scared, then go back to your mother's womb and start cultivating again. This isn't a place for people like you to play. After saying that, he was the first to enter the Extreme Emperor Mystic Realm. Following him, Avidinia, Wu Yan, and the others went in one after another. Only Ling Xiao, Lin Ruoxian, and Moon Death were left in the 7th district. Scared? Ling Xiao asked. No, the worst-case scenario is death. Since we insisted on walking the path of martial arts, we don't plan on avoiding danger. Lin Ruoxian said. Me too. Very good. That's more like Ling Xiao's good friends, good comrades. This is the best chance for you to improve your cultivation and catch up to those people. Let's go. Ling Xiao was actually worried about Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death. However, he knew that there's no point in protecting them all the time. He had to let these 2 grow and become independent. Only then can they truly help him. It's not that easy to die. We'll meet inside. Suddenly, Long Yi's voice came from the side. When Ling Xiao went to look for him, he was already gone. Then let's give it a try. Let's see who's going to die. I hope you guys can get more materials, so I don't have to waste time completing missions. Ling Xiao sneered and finally stepped into the giant whirlpool. After a while, Ling Xiao appeared in the Extreme Emperor Mystic Realm. He didn't know how this Extreme Emperor Mystic Realm was formed, but the spiritual energy inside was really abundant. The herbs inside were much larger than those outside. Even the same yellow rank herbs were more effective than those outside. Using them to refine pills would naturally be twice the result with half the effort. It's really a good place. Lin Ruoxian took a deep breath. He could feel that his inner strength had increased by a lot. This was simply mysterious. It's a good place, but Brother Ling Xiao, Sister Ruoxian, I'm afraid we've already been targeted. Avidinia and the rest will definitely deal with us. That Long Yi and Bo, Yi Liuli will definitely make a move too. Moon Death seemed to be a little worried. Hee, I didn't expect you to have offended so many people. Why don't you kneel down and beg for mercy and give these 2 delicate beauties to us? We'll definitely let you leave alive. Avidinia and the rest didn't go far. Naturally, they heard Moon Death's words. At this time, No Agreement sneered. A loser dares to be so arrogant. This is the extreme Emperor Mystic Realm. Without Ji-hyun of Silla, do you think I won't dare to kill you? Ling Shao said coldly. Come, I lost you last time because I was careless. Do you really think you're stronger than me? No Agreements had always been unhappy about losing to Ling Shao. Therefore, he had always planned to fight with Ling Shao again. All right, since you're all here, you're teammates. No Agreements, you'll lead Ling Shao. Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death will be in the same group as us. Avidinia suddenly interrupted. Impossible. Ling Shao said coldly. How could I not know what intentions you have? Since we're already here, it's best that we act separately. Impudent, I'm the team leader. Since, when is it your turn to tell me what to do? Do what I tell you to do. Chapter 26-24. Captain, you really think too highly of yourself. Who appointed you as the captain? Ling Shao would never allow Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death to follow Avidinia. Otherwise, it would be sending his two friends into a fiery pit. Moreover, since you've made yourself the captain, have you ever told me even a little bit of information about the extreme Emperor's secret realm? No, not even a little bit. You probably can't wait for me to die, right? Kid, do you really think that we don't dare to kill you? If it weren't for His Highness protecting you in the Duke's mansion, we would have done it long ago. Avidinia shouted coldly. Now that Chun Kanglin isn't here, you can try. I'd like to see how you'll kill me. The extreme Emperor's secret realm covered a huge area. Ling Zhao's movement technique was much better than Avidinia's. Even if he had Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death with him, he could still easily escape. Therefore, he had nothing to fear at all. Big brother, don't talk nonsense with this kid. Kill him. This is His Highness's order anyway. No Agreements was so agitated that he actually let it slip. As expected, Ling Shao was only guessing at first, but guessing wasn't the truth. Only when he heard No Agreements' words did he finally confirm it. Ji-hyun of Silla did indeed want Avidinia and the others to kill him in the extreme Emperor's secret realm. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to pretend. Didn't you, Ji-hyun of Silla, want me dead? Then I'll make you lose a few trusted generals first. Oh no, big brother, I let it slip. No Agreements also realized that he had said something wrong and was afraid that Avidinia would punish him. It doesn't matter. Once he enters the extreme Emperor's secret realm, he won't be able to leave for less than half a month. Besides, he's already a dead man, so why should we care about what he said? Avidinia shook his head and said, Ling Shao, I'll tell you straight. You pitiful worm. Not only will you die here, but the two women behind you will also become my brother's playthings. And the woman you left in the prince's mansion, it seems that His Highness has taken a fancy to her. You don't have to worry. His Highness will definitely take good care of her. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with cold killing intent, but he did not act rashly. He knew that he was not strong enough to kill Avidinia. Avidinia was a martial artist at the peak of the 9th level of hell in the first revolution of the Yin-Yang realm. With 6 people working together, it would be difficult for the 3 of them to be a match. It would be best for him to raise his cultivation first. Once his cultivation reached a certain level, he would then make his move on these 6 fellows. Remember what you said. It will make you pay a heavy price. Let's go. Ling Shao ignored Avidinia and the others and left with Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death. Big brother, aren't we going to make a move? No Agreements asked. There's no need for that for now. It won't be too late to make a move when they're almost done collecting herbs. Avidinia said coldly, Anyway, these 3 fellows will die in our hands sooner or later. There's no hurry. Let them live for a few more days. No Agreements. Follow them and monitor their movements at all times. Then report to me. The rest of you, follow me to carry out the mission first. Got it, big brother. No Agreements looked excitedly in the direction Ling Shao and the others disappeared in, then chased after them. Soon he caught up with Ling Shao and the others. Ling Xiao and the others did not choose to run away, but were collecting herbs in a place with densely packed herbs. Hee, do your job well. When you're done, the fruits of your labor will belong to us. No Agreements watched from the shadows and sneered. Imagining Ling Xiao's herbs being all taken away by them, he felt very relieved in his heart. Ling Xiao wasn't gathering medicinal herbs to complete some bullshit mission. He just wanted to refine some pills to use in the extreme royal mystic realm. The quality of the herbs here was extremely high, so the success rate and efficiency of refining pills were greatly increased. Of course, they were basically collecting mysterious, great herbs. They only picked some yellow-grade herbs that could be used to concoct medicine. About half an hour later, Ling Xiao was about to let Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death sit down to rest. He was going to start refining pills. Suddenly, a strange black teleportation door appeared not far away. This teleportation door was extremely similar to the teleportation door in the Imperial Secret Realm, but it was much smaller. Seeing this teleportation door, Ling Xiao frowned. He heard from Gale that once this teleportation door appeared, it meant that a monster was about to appear. A terrifying giant wolf came out of the teleportation door. This wolf beast was huge, about 3 meters tall. Its fur was white, and every step it took produced a heavy sound, as if a mountain was collapsing. It's actually the strongest monster in the 7th District, the Whirlwind White Wolf King. No Agreements, who was hiding in the shadows, was shocked when he saw this situation. At the same time, he was overjoyed. The Whirlwind White Wolf King's appearance here was really unexpected. It was very difficult to encounter a Whirlwind White Wolf King that was at the peak of the 9th floor of hell. But he didn't know if Ling Xiao was lucky or unlucky that he encountered it. You deserve to die, but that Whirlwind White Wolf King doesn't seem to have noticed Ling Xiao. No Agreements secretly observed and found that Ling Xiao and the other two were hiding in the shadows. The Whirlwind White Wolf King seemed to have just come out for a stroll. It was stretching and preparing to bask in the sun. No, I have to do something. No Agreements sneered and suddenly stabbed the ground with his right hand. Then, at the place where Ling Xiao and the others were hiding, a burst of energy suddenly appeared. Although this burst of energy wasn't strong, it attracted the Whirlwind White Wolf King's attention. The terrifying monster's eyes instantly turned scarlet, and a cruel look appeared in its eyes. A terrifying aura instantly erupted. No Agreements turned and ran. He didn't want to stay for even a second. Anyway, Ling Xiao had already been tricked by him. If he encountered the Whirlwind White Wolf King, he would definitely die. He just needed to hide in the distance and not be discovered. Big brother Ling Xiao, it's no Agreements' doing. Moon Death said angrily, "It doesn't matter. The reason why we hid was because we didn't know what would come out of the teleportation door. But now it's just a Whirlwind White Wolf King. The 3 of us together are more than enough to deal with it. I believe that after eating this monster's meat, your cultivation will also enter the 9th floor of hell. I guess I'll also improve a little." Ling Xiao obviously knew that it was no Agreements' doing, but he didn't care. What he needed to do now was to kill the beast in front of him and let the 3 of them break through. Anyway, the Whirlwind White Wolf King was big enough. He couldn't eat that much meat alone. Got it. Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death heard Ling Xiao's order and stood behind him, ready to support him. The 2 of them knew that they weren't strong enough, but it wouldn't be a problem for them to support. At this moment, Ling Xiao had already transformed into the purple, lightning, thunder, bull beast soul. Chapter 26-25. Under the purple, lightning, thunder, ox, beast soul transformation, the defense and destructive power of the peak lightning battle physique would be raised to the maximum. Under the transformation state, terrifying purple lightning constantly burst out from Ling Xiao's body. The surrounding ground was blasted into a ravine. Although the battle had yet to begin, a powerful aura had already erupted. Awoo! The Whirlwind White Wolf King let out a low howl as if warning Ling Xiao. This was its territory, and it absolutely did not allow humans to enter. However, Ling Xiao did not escape, which made the whirlwind White Wolf King very unhappy. It decided to no longer threaten and took the initiative to attack. The so-called whirlwind White Wolf King was naturally because its speed was fast enough. With wind under its feet, it instantly arrived in front of Ling Xiao. Its huge claws waved and fiercely clawed at Ling Xiao. Petrification Ray. Soul Control. Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death cooperated very well. The moment the whirlwind White Wolf King attacked, they released the special skills of two magic treasures. Ling Xiao took the opportunity to take out the 8 Immortals' sword and stabbed out Shadow Martial Art, Ghost Slaying Dragon. Because his opponent was stronger, Ling Xiao used his second strongest sword skill right from the start. Because the whirlwind White Wolf King was affected by the Petrification Ray and Soul Control, although it was only for a moment, it was still pierced by Ling Xiao's sword. Dark, red blood flowed out, and it actually let out an extremely mournful scream. However, at the same time, the whirlwind White Wolf King became even more ferocious. It actually did not retreat. It directly opened its sharp teeth and bit towards Ling Xiao's neck. The distance was too close. Ling Xiao wanted to dodge it, but it was not easy. He was planning to fight head-on. His body suddenly disappeared from the spot, and when he reappeared, he was already behind the whirlwind White Wolf King. Well done! Ling Xiao knew that this was Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death working together to activate the spatial blue book, causing his position to shift. While speaking, Ling Xiao did not forget to attack. The 8 Immortals, sword in his hand, pierced towards the whirlwind White Wolf King. Shadow Martial Art, Ghost War Emperor. This was the strongest sword skill that Ling Xiao had mastered so far. The sword pierced through the defenseless body of the whirlwind White Wolf King. Terrifying lightning exploded within the whirlwind White Wolf King's body. The terrifying giant beast screamed again and again. However, this fellow was indeed a 1-star Yin-Yang Realm 9th floor demonic beast. After being stabbed twice like this, not only did he not die, his speed did not even decrease. It actually abandoned Ling Xiao and charged towards Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death. This guy was also very smart. He knew that it was because of those 2 women that he was unable to attack that man and was instead seriously injured. Dream on. The earth quakes and the mountains sway. The ground suddenly shook. The whirlwind White Wolf King's body, which had been moving like the wind, stopped halfway. It was obvious that it had fallen into a dizzy state. Shadow Black Gourd, Shadow Mist. Lin Ruoxian took the opportunity to take out another magic treasure and released a pitch-black mist, which completely enveloped the whirlwind White Wolf King. This shadow mist not only made the enemy lose their sense of direction, but it also contained a suffocating haze. If one stayed in it for a long time, it would definitely be difficult to breathe, and even poison would enter the body. Skynet Divine Birdcage. Trap. Moon Death also took out a magic treasure and trapped the whirlwind White Wolf King inside. The huge birdcage blocked the whirlwind White Wolf King. The fellow was already seriously injured, and with the weakening effect of the shadow mist, it could only continuously hit the birdcage. Unfortunately, it was useless. Instead, it added more injuries to its body. The birdcage was made of sharp metal. Touching it was equivalent to hitting the edge of a blade. It was impossible for it not to be injured. It should be dead now, right? Moon Death asked carefully, "Don't be careless. Don't let your guard down until the last moment." Ling Xiao reminded while walking towards the birdcage. Suddenly, the birdcage exploded, and a black shadow pounced towards Ling Xiao. Sprite Lightning Shield. Fortunately, Ling Xiao was already prepared. A shield of light flickered with lightning and appeared in front of him. The whirlwind White Wolf King, who was struggling on the verge of death, crashed into the shield and died. It fell to the ground and stopped breathing. Eye of Light, Purification. Ling Shao used the sixth profound meaning of light that he was once proud of and completely purified the corpse of the dead whirlwind white wolf king. This was the only way to prevent it from being infected by the poison. It's too wasteful to eat meat directly. Just you wait. I'll use medicinal herbs to make a pot of delicious, nourishing soup for you. Ling Shao had once learned how to make medicinal cuisine when he was in the White Tiger continent. The effect of this nourishing soup was not inferior to pills at all. Moreover, it would taste very good and would not change the taste of delicious meat. Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death did not see the nourishing soup. Just by listening to Ling Xiao's description, they were already drooling. Ling Xiao used less than half an hour to cook the nourishing soup. Then, the three of them ate one meal each. Naturally, Ling Xiao ate the most. After this nourishment, Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death's cultivation had successfully broken through. Both of them had advanced to the early stage of the yin-yang stage 9 health. Ling Xiao ate the most. The potential in his body was stimulated by this nourishing soup and surged to the middle stage of the yin-yang stage 9 health. 8 levels of energy. He was only 2 levels away from breaking through to the late stage of the yin-yang stage. It seems that I need much more energy to advance to the next stage than Sister Ruoxian and Moon Death. No wonder my combat strength is much stronger than theirs even at the same stage. This is probably the so-called lose on the swings, gain on the roundabouts. Sensing his current cultivation, Ling Xiao really wanted to find someone to spar with so that he could stabilize his newly broken cultivation. Anyway, he always felt that the effect of stabilizing his cultivation would be better in battle. Big brother Ling Xiao, someone's coming. Moon Death looked at the few figures not far away and said with a smile, "Humph." No Agreements thought that after more than an hour, we must have been killed by the whirlwind White Wolf King. That whirlwind White Wolf King also left and probably came to collect our corpses. My head is probably worth some money. Ling Xiao snorted coldly. He understood No Agreements' thoughts too well. That bastard actually dared to scheme against him. This debt would be repaid sooner or later. However, seeing that his cultivation had increased, he would not pursue it for the time being. He still had to hide his cultivation for the time being. This was to prevent those who wanted to find trouble with him from hiding. After all, he wanted those people's mission materials. If they hid, how could he pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger? You, why aren't you dead? Where's the whirlwind White Wolf King? Seeing that Ling Xiao and the other 2 were unharmed, No Agreements could not believe his eyes. Third brother, are you sure you didn't see wrongly? The whirlwind White Wolf King appeared? Avidinia asked. Chapter 26:26. It must have appeared. I didn't see wrongly. No Agreements shouted. Don't doubt him. A whirlwind White Wolf King did appear. This kid was so scared that he turned and ran. But we killed it and made it into a stew. I wanted to ask him to stay and eat the wolf meat, but I couldn't. Your brother is too cowardly. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Nonsense. The whirlwind White Wolf King is one of the strongest demon beasts in the 7th district. You think you can kill it? Avidinia said with disdain. Oh, it's normal that you don't believe me. After all, you're blind. You can't see that there's wolf meat stew in the pot. Ling Xiao said, sarcastically. You. Avidinia was furious with Ling Xiao, but he didn't even look at the stew in the pot, because he didn't believe that Ling Xiao could kill the whirlwind White Wolf King. Actually, if he checked carefully, he would definitely find out. Although the bones might not be as nutritious as the meat stew, because the bone marrow was sucked clean by Ling Xiao. However, eating these bones would definitely have a very good effect. Humph. We received No Agreements report and thought you were in danger. That's why we came to save you. I didn't expect you to be like this. Let's go. Avidinia was very good at finding a way out for himself. This excuse was perfect. It was a pity that Ling Xiao completely treated these words as nonsense. Get lost. I, Ling Xiao, can't accept your kindness. Since you said the truth, why are you still pretending to be a good person? It's disgusting. Ling Shao said with a sarcastic smile. Big brother, I can't stand it anymore. This guy is so disrespectful to you. I want to kill him. No Agreements was fooled by Ling Shao, so he was very unhappy. Plus, he wanted to get back at Ling Shao for losing to him. He really wanted to kill Ling Shao. Shut up, let's go. Avidinia shouted coldly. He knew how to endure, silently. He had to wait for the right opportunity to make Ling Shao fall into complete despair and die in despair. Now was clearly not the time. Yes. No Agreements glared fiercely at Ling Shao before leaving with Avidinia and the others. This idiot thought that Avidinia's forbearance would allow Ling Shao to live a little longer. What he didn't know was that Avidinia had actually saved him. If he made a move now, Ling Shao would definitely kill him. He would definitely not show any mercy. Now that the trash is gone, we can continue to look for the Emperor's supreme herb. I'll have to trouble the two of you to help expand the search area. However, if you encounter any demonic beasts, inform each other immediately. Everyone will deal with the demonic beasts together. Of course, it's the same if we encounter people from Yuanling. Ling Shao reminded them and then described the appearance of the Emperor's supreme herb to Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death. Then, the three of them began to look for the Emperor's supreme herb. 3 people would be more efficient than 1 person. The 7th region was large, but there was a limit. 2 days later, Ling Shao, Lin Ruoxian, and Moon Death had basically finished searching the 7th region. Because the whirlwind white wolf king of the 7th region had been killed by them, the process was easy. The 3 of them had made some progress in their cultivation. Their martial arts skills had improved as well. However, the Emperor's supreme herb was nowhere to be found. Ling Shao suspected that a treasure like the Emperor's supreme herb would be in the king-level area, or even in the untouchable place. It was said that the king-level area was full of king-level beasts. The weakest one was at the peak of the 9th floor of hell. For example, the whirlwind white wolf king. The strongest beast there was comparable to the lightning seigneur. As for the untouchable place, because no one had been there, no one knew what it was like. Ling Shao needed more information about the royal mystery realm. Therefore, he stopped searching and went to the exit of the 7th region to find Gale. He asked about the Emperor's supreme herb. Why are you asking about the Emperor's supreme herb? Gale's expression changed slightly. To be honest, I have a friend who has an unmentionable disease. He needs the Emperor's supreme herb to treat it. Ling Shao answered. Since he had decided to trust Gale, Ling Shao was not afraid to tell him his purpose. Anyway, even if he told him, as long as he didn't take the Emperor's supreme herb, it wouldn't be against the rules. I see. Actually, the Emperor's supreme herb is not rare in the royal mystery realm. In fact, there are a lot of them. Although this herb has a special effect, it can only cure special, unmentionable diseases. The range is too narrow. Also, it needs an excellent pharmacist to refine it. Otherwise, it would be useless. You should know that the Emperor's supreme herb is only a yellow-grade herb, right? Gale asked. I know that. But why is there not a single Emperor's supreme herb in the 7th region? Ling Shao was very curious. This has something to do with the Yuanling. Gale sighed and said, the Yuanling can make a special talisman. This talisman needs the Emperor's supreme herb to provide energy. Therefore, a large amount of the Emperor's supreme herb was taken away by the Yuanling as soon as it matured. Some were even taken away as soon as they germinated. If you really want it, you can only go to the King region. The Yuanling's nest is there. The King region. Ling Shao revealed a stern expression. I advise you not to take the risk. With your current strength, you can't survive in the King region. Also, without the permission of the 8 great clans, you can't go near the King region. Otherwise, you will be killed without mercy. Gale reminded, my brother is indebted to you. That's why I'm telling you this. I hope you won't be stupid. I know. Ling Shao nodded, but in his heart he didn't plan to stop here. It wasn't easy for him to enter the royal mystery realm. Yu Fenghua only needed a single emperor's supreme herb. He didn't need to fight with the monsters or the Yuanling in the Qing region. Actually, he only needed to steal one. He was very good at this kind of movement technique. Woo! Suddenly, the strange sound of a horn came from afar, and smoke signals rose slowly. Not good. Gale stood up and looked into the distance. Between his eyebrows, there was anxiety and helplessness. What's going on, hunting chief? Ling Xiao thought to himself. If even the hunting chief, Gale, was nervous, then it couldn't be anything good. A war is coming. Gale sighed and said, the Yuanling doesn't want outside martial artists to enter the royal mystery realm. Therefore, every once in a while, they will launch a small-scale war. Although it's called a small-scale war, it can actually cover the entire royal mystery realm. When the time comes, not only the Yuanling, but also the monsters they raise will participate in the war. Once it's chaotic, the soldier region will no longer be safe. Maybe even monsters from the 10 levels of hell will appear here. Listen, Ling Xiao. Immediately go to the 9th region with your friends. The 9th region? Aren't there only 8 regions? Ling Xiao was stunned. The 9th region has the strongest security. You'll be safe there. Chapter 26-27. Ling Xiao, take your friend to District 9. This is the map. If you go there, you won't be swallowed up by this battle. Gale's expression was very serious. Perhaps only he knew what the Yuanling's battle in the extreme royal mystic realm meant. Is the Yuanling really that powerful? Ling Xiao said with a frown. That's right. Otherwise, do you think the extreme royal mystic realm set up so many barriers just to prevent outsiders from entering? No. The biggest reason is to prevent the Yuanling people from going out. They don't have many people, but each one of them is very powerful, comparable to a king-level monster. And the monster beasts in the extreme royal mystic realm basically listen to their commands. I've only seen such a battle once. After that battle, basically all the soldier level and general level martial artists who couldn't hide in the safe zone died in battle. Even many king stage martial artists had died. If it weren't for the Thunder Seigneur, the 14th Prince, and the 7th Prince working together, I'm afraid even the safe zone would be in trouble. Gale sighed. All right, don't ask anymore. Hurry up and go to the safe zone. After you go in, don't come out again. You're very talented. It's not worth it to die in this battle. In the distance, terrifying roars came one after another. Smoke and dust drifted in the sky. The huge demonic beasts actually joined together, covering the sky and covering the sun, like a terrifying army of giant beasts. Ling Xiao looked into the distance with the Taiji eye and found that there was a martial artist standing on the head of one of the king-level monster beasts. This martial artist's body shape was similar to a human's, but he looked more like a spirit of heaven and earth condensed from spirit energy. His entire body was emitting a powerful energy aura. That should be the commander of the invasion of District 7. I'm not his match. Ling Xiao sighed. Although he wanted to help Gale, now was definitely not the time. His cultivation was not enough. He might be able to fight against ordinary monster beasts, but against a king-level monster beast, his battle strength was too limited. Moreover, even if it was an ordinary monster beast, it was an army of tens of thousands. It was definitely not something a few people could deal with alone. Let's go. Ling Xiao called out to Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death. If they stayed by Gale's side, they would only become a burden. It was better to enter the safe zone as soon as possible. By the time Ling Xiao, Lin Ruoxian, and Moon Death had rushed to the safe zone, the entire soldier-level zone had already been occupied by Yao beasts and Yuanling martial artists. Along the way, they had relied on Ling Xiao's Tai Chi eye to avoid many dangers. That was how they got closer to District 9. Up ahead, a group of people were surrounded by demonic beasts and were fighting. Ling Xiao glanced over and saw that it was Avadinia and the others. If these people were nice to him, he might have chosen to help them. But now he could only pretend that he didn't see them. Not launching a sneak attack was already extremely benevolent. However, although he had shown mercy, some people did not know what was good for them. Ling Xiao, where are you going? Get your ass over here. No agreements, discovered Ling Xiao and shouted, You coward! Coward! Ling Xiao didn't pay any attention to him. His life was more important now. As for No Agreements' angry shouts, he just treated them as dogs barking. Bastard! How dare you ignore me? Big brother, I can't take it anymore. I must kill this kid today. I underestimated him at the Wang Mansion. He's definitely not my match. No Agreements jumped out of the battle formation and rushed towards Ling Xiao. It was only because there weren't too many demonic beasts in the vicinity that Wu Yu had such an opportunity. When he was about 10 meters away from Ling Xiao, No Agreements had already launched his attack. The terrifying Cobra martial soul released a terrifying killing intent. No Agreements threw the dagger in his hand and bit towards Ling Xiao's back like a venomous snake. I didn't attack you guys, but I didn't expect you guys to be so ungrateful. You actually want to attack me. Sister Ruoxian, Moon Death, you guys continue forward. I'll be there soon. Ling Xiao sneered. He had originally planned to start a massacre in the Imperial secret realm. Since No Agreements had delivered himself to his doorstep, he would not be polite. It should be said that this battle had come at the right time. In this way, even if he killed the 6 people under Ji Hyun of Silla, it could be explained away as Yuan Ling's doing. No Agreements was not even worth mentioning in Ling Xiao's eyes. He did not even bother to use his beast soul transformation. The white jade flying dragon sword appeared in his hand, and he blocked No Agreements' attack. A terrifying aura began to brew in his body. Kid, I gave you a chance. Unfortunately, you didn't know how to cherish it. The aura released from his body suddenly became stronger. What? No Agreements was rushing towards Ling Xiao, but he suddenly realized that the aura released by Ling Xiao was actually at the middle stage of the 9th level of hell. All of a sudden, he became incomparably terrified. He stopped abruptly and turned to run, because he realized that he had made a grave mistake. Ling Xiao had been pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, but he did not realize it. His brother, Avidinia, also did not realize it. He originally thought that he was the hunter and Ling Xiao was the prey. But now, it seemed that Ling Xiao had become the scariest hunter. Isn't it a little too late to think of running now? Ling Xiao looked coldly at No Agreements. This guy was already less than 3 meters away from him. At this distance, with Ling Xiao's speed, No Agreements was dead for sure. Wolf travels 1,000 miles. Lone wolf travels. In an instant, Ling Xiao was already behind No Agreements. No Agreements could even hear his breathing clearly. No, I was wrong. Don't kill me. No Agreements shouted in fear, hoping that Ling Xiao would be merciful. At this moment, Avidinia and the others who were fighting with the demon beasts not far away also noticed the situation. Ling Xiao, stop. If you dare to touch my brother, I'll make sure you don't even have a corpse left. Avidinia roared. Idiot! When you threatened to attack me, Fenghua, Sister Ruoxian, and Moon Death, you were already on my blacklist. You think you can threaten me? Ling Xiao sneered and pierced No Agreements' back. Wu, you only felt the world turn dark, and his whole person gradually lost consciousness. Before he died, the only thing he thought of was why he had to provoke this Ling Xiao alone. He regretted it so much. You killed No Agreements. You killed my brother. I want you dead. Avidinia's roar was insignificant in the extreme imperial mystic realm. Although he was already very angry, his voice still couldn't cover the terrifying roars of the demon beasts. Hee. You'd better take care of yourself. Don't die before you kill me. Goodbye. Ling Xiao didn't intend to continue fighting. He directly kicked No Agreements' corpse into the crowd of demon beasts. In an instant, the corpse was torn to pieces by the crazy demon beasts, and he sped up to escape. As for Avidinia and the others, although they wanted to kill Ling Xiao to avenge No Agreements, it was a pity that they were blocked by the demon beasts and couldn't chase. Chapter 26-28. No agreements, no agreements. You don't have to feel sad, because soon your brothers will die with you. Oh right, your master, Jihyun of Silla, Chun Kanglin, will also die. He actually dares to have ideas about my woman. He must be tired of living. On the way, Ling Xiao secretly made up his mind. As long as there was a chance, he would not spare any of these enemies who dared to scheme against him. Oh, right, since I have the Tai Chi Eye and Shadow Steps, coupled with the 1,000-Mile Wolf, can I take advantage of this chaos to make a trip to the king-level area? This is an excellent opportunity. On the way to the safe zone, Ling Xiao suddenly thought of the Emperor's supreme grass. Now that the Emperor's secret realm was in chaos, the Arcana Academy could not monitor everyone. This way, he could take the opportunity to go to the king-level area or even the untouchable places. This was a rare opportunity. Thinking of this, he sped up and caught up with Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death in front. However, at this time he did not say anything. After sending the two women to the safe zone, he prepared to leave. After all, his women were important, and he could not underestimate his friends. Just as he was about to reach the safe zone, suddenly a terrifying attack was released from the beast horde. This attack was directly aimed at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao originally thought it was a Yuanling warrior, but after dodging, he found that it was Wayno Ruri who attacked him. Wayno Ruri led a group of people to stop the three of them. This place was only a few hundred meters away from the safe zone. The reason this guy took the risk to stop them here was definitely because killing was not allowed in the safe zone. Once they entered the safe zone, it would not be easy for Wayno Ruri to kill him. After thinking this through, Ling Xiao had an idea. Four-leaf demonic eyes, Soul Catcher. Soul Catcher was a move that the soul race used to control other creatures. The lower the soul power and the lower the strength of the target, the easier it was to control. Naturally, Ling Xiao did not use it to deal with Wayno Ruri. It was those beasts. He didn't want to continue fighting. Firstly, it was because he might not be Wayno Ruri's opponent for the time being. Secondly, since they were about to reach the safety zone, there was no need to expend too much energy at this time. As the Soul Catcher was released, suddenly, more than 10 demonic beasts pounced over. In the eyes of the bystanders, these demonic beasts had come to attack because they had discovered the enemies on their side. However, only Ling Xiao himself knew that these guys were obeying his orders. Although these demonic beasts weren't strong and couldn't pose a threat to Boyi Ruri and the others, they were still able to fight back. However, the sudden attack still gave them a headache. They had to get rid of these demonic beasts before they could deal with Ling Xiao. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Ling Xiao grabbed Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death and sped into the safe zone. Bastard! Wayno Ruri roared in anger after killing the demon beast. Miss Liuli, with the current situation, I'm afraid there's no way to deal with them. Let's go to the safe zone first. A warrior next to him shouted. At this moment, because more than 10 demonic beasts were killed, the smell of blood attracted even more demonic beasts. They were densely packed like ants. This scene gave Wayno Ruri a fright. If it was one-on-one, she naturally wouldn't be afraid of any demonic beasts. However, there were so many of them that they could take her life in an instant. Ling Xiao, you better remember this. One day, I, Wayno Ruri, will kill you. Let's retreat. Wayno Ruri led her subordinates and headed to the safe zone. At this moment, Ling Xiao, who had already arrived at the safe zone ahead of time, warned Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death before leaving. He didn't want to explain too much, but Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death understood. At this moment, they couldn't help Ling Xiao. After all, they didn't have the special ability that Ling Xiao had. Sister Ruoxian, I'm so worried. Seeing Ling Xiao leave, Moon Death couldn't help but grab Lin Ruoxian's hand and said worriedly, Don't worry, he'll be fine. Let's go and find a secluded place. We should continue cultivating. The potential in our bodies hasn't been fully unleashed yet. Our strength can definitely increase even more. In order to help him more, we have to work harder. Lin Ruoxian always felt that she and Moon Death were gradually unable to keep up with Ling Xiao's pace. However, she still wanted to work hard to catch up. Fortunately, the potential of the Nine Snake General's inheritance and Cold Moon General's inheritance hadn't been fully unleashed yet. Therefore, their current cultivation speed was still very terrifying. At this moment, Ling Xiao had entered the state of a ghost wolf. In this state, he couldn't attack, but he also wouldn't be hurt by attacks other than soul attacks. This was the safest state. Moreover, the ghost wolf state was one of the moves of the 1,000-mile wolf, so his speed wasn't slow. He continued to advance from the soldier level area to the general level area. Along the way, he saw many corpses of Arcana Academy's disciples. Of course, there were also corpses of beasts. However, whenever he encountered a Yuanling, he would take the initiative to avoid it. The Yuanling was formed by the spirit qi of heaven and earth. It could definitely hurt his ghost wolf state. This was a very dangerous thing. Soon, he entered the general level area from the soldier level area. The general level area was usually reserved for martial artists from the late stage of the 9th level of hell to the early stage of the 10th level of hell. The battles here were obviously more intense. This was because the martial artists of Arcana Academy who stayed here were more powerful and had organized more effective counterattacks. It wasn't as chaotic as the soldier level area. Of course, this made it easier for Ling Xiao to sneak around. Anyway, he followed a principle. Before he obtained the Emperor's Supreme Grass, he would try his best not to fight. Soon he stepped into the King class area. In the King level area, there were battles from time to time. However, there were much fewer beasts. Almost every battle was a top-notch battle. Although there were few battles, the range was very wide. Ling Xiao even saw the figures of the Thunder Master and the 7 Great Elders. Worried that he would be discovered by these people, he would rather take a detour than meet them. After all, these expert soul powers were very strong. It was difficult to be sure that they would not discover him. Therefore, he had to be careful. Let's go to the Yuanling's lair. At this time, the Yuanling should be out in full force. If he took this opportunity to go to the Yuanling's lair, he would definitely be able to get the Emperor's Supreme Grass. Anyway, the Emperor's Supreme Grass was not a precious herb. Even if the Yuanling had guards, they would not send 2 strong guards for such a cheap thing. Thinking of this, he no longer hesitated. He opened his Tai Chi eye and found the Yuanling's lair. Then he rushed over. Just as he had expected, the lair of the Metaspirit clan was extremely quiet. Other than the fortress that looked like a giant tree, there was not a single person in sight. Good luck! Ling Xiao secretly rejoiced and began to look for the Emperor's Supreme Grass. This was his only goal after coming here. Chapter 26-29. If he wanted to collect the Emperor's Supreme Grass, he had to remove his ghost wolf form. This was a very dangerous thing to do. However, Ling Xiao saw a large amount of Emperor's Supreme Grass. How could he give up just because he was afraid of danger? In an instant, he returned to his original form. However, at this moment, the originally huge tree fortress actually stood up. That's right, it stood up. It stood up like a human. It stood up with its roots like a huge human. However, it looked like a huge tree. Oh my God, is this the legendary Treant? Ling Xiao had heard about Treants before. Animals with spirituality could become demonic beasts and then demons. Plants with spirituality could also transform into monsters. However, an ordinary Treant was at most 7 to 8 meters tall. For example, this thing was dozens of meters tall, and its huge body could cause the earth to tremble with just a slight sway. The terrifyingly huge Treant glared at Ling Xiao with its hill-sized eyes. The huge tree trunk became its arms. The huge tree roots became its legs. It was roaring and roaring. The terrifying voice made Ling Xiao shudder like he had never felt before. I can't faint. Ling Xiao couldn't care less at this moment. He released the Sky Tyrant martial soul. The terrifying Sky Tyrant will help him stay awake and stand under the huge tree. If it wasn't for the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul, he would have died at the hands of this terrifying treant. However, the situation was not optimistic. This terrifying treant had reached the peak of the 1-star Enyang Realms, level 11 Hell. What a terrifying cultivation! It was as strong as the Lightning Emperor, and even stronger than the Lightning Senior. For such a terrifying existence, as long as he used his killing intent, he would be able to kill Ling Xiao silently. Of course, the premise was that Ling Xiao didn't have the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul. However, he had it, and it was very powerful. That was why he was able to avoid being killed on the spot. The treant seemed to be confused. How could this puny human resist the attack of its crazy killing intent? However, it didn't matter. His huge legs took a step forward and stomped down on Ling Xiao's position. However, because its body was too big, its movements seemed very slow. However, that terrifying pressure caused Ling Xiao's entire body to be unable to move. Even though he had the powerful heaven's dominating will to resist, his entire body still seemed to be imprisoned. He could only watch as the huge foot that was like a mountain stomped down on him. If Ling Xiao was really stepped on by this foot, there was absolutely no possibility of him surviving. Calm down. Don't panic. Even if danger was approaching, even if their lives were at stake. However, Ling Xiao still did not want to panic. The moment he lost his composure, he would be dead for sure. He had experienced danger time and time again, and had encountered similar troubles, but he had always survived. Therefore, this time he believed that he could still survive. Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death were still waiting for him in the safe zone. Yu Fenghua, his Moon Lady sister, was still waiting for him in Thunder City. No matter what, he could not die. Absolutely not. He was the Heavenly Emperor of the Heavenly Empire, the ruler of the Heavenly Dragon Continent, the Divine Phoenix Continent, and the White Tiger Continent. He was the king, the overlord. At this moment, his will became incomparably strong. In the Mountain River world, the Heavenly Dragon Continent, the Divine Phoenix Continent, and the White Tiger Continent suddenly emitted a strange luster. A heavenly dragon, a divine phoenix, and a white tiger soared into the sky. They appeared in the desolate land of the universe of Tyrant. Ling Xiao's aura suddenly became incomparably strong. This aura made the tree fortress giant feel very uncomfortable. His foot actually stopped in the air for a short moment. It seemed to be confused about what was under his foot. It seemed to be confused about why he was afraid. However, after a moment, he did not find any danger. After pausing for only a few seconds, his foot began to stomp down again. However, this short pause gave Ling Xiao an excellent opportunity to transform. Perhaps it was the huge pressure that caused the sun god beast soul in Ling Xiao's body to react. It actually integrated into the universe of Tyrant and became a huge constellation. After that, the sun god beast soul continuously released a strange power, causing Ling Xiao's body to begin to undergo some kind of change. This constellation was made up of hundreds of planets. However, except for one of them, the rest were very dim. This shining planet released a powerful energy that was directly injected into the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit. 5 words suddenly appeared in Ling Xiao's mind. Earth Golden Light Technique. This should be some kind of secret technique that came from the sun god beast soul. It was similar to the special abilities of Ling Xiao's other beast souls, but it was stronger. Moreover, Ling Xiao could feel it. The sun god beast soul could awaken more than one special ability. However, it was very difficult to awaken. This time, if not for the encounter with the tree fortress giant in such a dangerous situation, the Earth Golden Light Technique would not have awakened. In fact, this should not be called a secret technique. To be more accurate, it should be called a remarkable ability. This was because it did not require any seals or incantations. It could be achieved immediately. This scene sounded like it took a long time, but in fact, it happened in the blink of an eye. With the release of the Earth Golden Light Technique, Ling Xiao's body instantly turned into a golden light and directly drilled into the ground, and then fled into the distance. In the process of flying underground, the golden light looked like a strange mouse. Using the fastest speed, it drilled into the ground and formed a hole. This moment was too fast. It was so fast that the tree fortress giant did not even see what was happening. His huge feet stomped on the ground, causing the surrounding mountains to shake. A large area of cracks appeared, and there was spring water and even magma spewing out of the ground. Ling Xiao could feel how terrifyingly fast he was at this moment. Not only was the 1,000-mile wolf incomparable, even the godly light speed of the past could not compare. This speed was beyond imagination. If his body had not instantly entered the sun god beast soul transformation state, his body would have been destroyed because of this. This terrifying speed was too much of a burden on the body. What's more, this thing was not consuming inner strength or spiritual power, but physical strength. Ling Xiao could feel that it did not take long for his speed to slow down. The burden on his body was too great, and he could already hear the creak of his bones in protest. The tree fortress giant's body was huge. Although its speed was very slow, every step it took could cover a very long distance. If it had not been for the earth golden light technique, Ling Xiao believed that he would have become the mud under the feet of this giant beast. Boom! At a certain time, the ground shattered, and a figure jumped out of it and fell to the ground, panting heavily. Ling Xiao felt as if he was going to be crippled. He had never been so tired. Chapter 2630. Ling Xiao smiled bitterly as he felt the exhaustion in his body. It seemed that although the earth elemental golden light technique was useful, it consumed a lot of energy. Fortunately, he had left the tree fortress far behind. Otherwise, he would have been dead. In the process of running for his life, Ling Xiao did not forget to prepare the emperor's supreme grass for Yu Fenghua. Under such circumstances, he successfully threw the emperor's supreme grass into the mountain river realm. Awesome! Although Ling Xiao felt very tired, the blood spirit pill was not given to him for free. With just one blood spirit pill in his stomach, his physical strength had basically recovered. His body felt much more comfortable, and his heart was very carefree. Of course, he was afraid. However, for a madman like Ling Xiao, this was very satisfying. He liked this kind of thrilling feeling. If he had not been attacked by the tree fortress, Ling Xiao believed that it would have taken him a long time to awaken the Sun Divine Beast Soul's divine ability. However, such a dangerous thing could not happen too often. It would be fine if he encountered it once a day. If he encountered it twice, he would be dead for sure. At this moment, Ling Xiao could feel that because of the huge external pressure, his body's potential had been released on a large scale. He had finally broken through to the late stage of the yin-yang stage 9 hell. Not only that, but he had also accumulated 7 levels of energy. He was only 3 levels away from the peak. Perhaps this was what they meant by profiting from a disaster. However, compared to the breakthrough in his cultivation, Ling Xiao was more concerned about the combination of the Sun Divine Beast Soul and the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul. After the combination, the Sun Divine Beast Soul had completely integrated into the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul and become a constellation. Therefore, he had awakened his first divine ability. He believed that a divine ability like the Earth Elemental Golden Light technique would continue to improve as his cultivation increased. This was much more useful than the secret techniques that he had learned directly. Of course, he would be able to awaken other divine abilities in the future, but it would depend on the timing. This was not something that could be forced. Fortunately, with the experience of the first awakening, he knew that the Sun Divine Beast Soul had to be integrated into the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul to awaken it. He could try this out in the future. In truth, although 1,000-Mile Wolf and Shadow Steps could allow Ling Xiao to stay alive, the enemies he encountered were getting stronger and stronger. The effects of these 2 abilities were getting worse and worse. Even though Dark Shadow Step allowed him to conceal himself, there was no way his speed could compare to the Earthen Golden Light technique. With this Golden Light technique, Even if he was hunted down by an expert of this level, he would have a way to save his life. He wouldn't be completely at a loss. The Sky Tyrant martial spirit is indeed mysterious. It can even fuse with the most mysterious beast god martial spirit in the Black Tortoise continent. Looks like I really did obtain a supreme treasure back then. No wonder no matter which continent the martial artists were from, they would crazily pursue the basic form of the tyrannical martial spirit, the mountain river martial spirit. This thing is indeed powerful. The more martial artists he came into contact with, the more Ling Xiao felt the power of his tyrannical martial spirit. He couldn't help but feel a little excited. Now that I have the Emperor's supreme grasp, I don't need to take any more risks. He stood up and was about to leave when he realized that he had been in a panic and didn't know where he had ended up. He turned his head and saw that there were 2 huge stone tablets about 100 meters away from him. One of the stone tablets had the words "Untouchable Place" inscribed on it. The other stone tablet had the words "Trespassers shall die." Damn, I actually ended up here in a daze. How did I end up at the entrance of the untouchable place? Ling Xiao felt a chill run down his spine as he looked at the pitch-black entrance and the skeletons floating in the air. He could feel the terror. However, it was very strange. Something in his body was guiding him into the untouchable place. Ling Xiao, don't go. There are indeed good things inside, but you definitely can't do it with your current strength. At that moment, Yuan Venerate's voice woke Ling Xiao up from his stupor. Ling Xiao was startled. He was clearly proficient in soul mystic techniques, yet he had actually been hit by such a strange mystic technique. He had really been too careless. Master, what exactly is going on inside? It feels like something terrifying is residing here. Ling Xiao asked. It should be. I suggest that you increase your cultivation base first, and come back to take a look when you reach the Yin-Yang First Revolution, the Yuan Venerate suggested. Furthermore, there is a strange array formation in this place that even I can't decipher in a short time. However, I have already memorized the structure of this array formation and will slowly decipher it for you. Just bear with it for a while. The things inside will be yours sooner or later. Thank you, Master. Although Ling Xiao was full of adventurous spirit, he wasn't a fool. He obviously wouldn't be so foolish as to go in and die. Untouchable place. Very well, one day I, Ling Xiao, will go in and take a look. I will see what exactly is going on inside. Ling Xiao took a deep look at the entrance before turning around and walking away. Although he was reluctant, he couldn't do anything about it. This time he directly entered his ghost wolf form and didn't want to revert back to his original form for the time being. Although the ghost wolf form would constantly consume internal energy, this wasn't a problem for him. He had more yin-yang pills than anyone else and could constantly replenish his internal energy. Furthermore, his internal energy was much more abundant than the average martialist's. Even though he was in his ghost wolf form, he was still very careful, especially when he passed by the Yuanling's lair. However, he suddenly discovered that the terrifying tree fortress was actually fighting with a group of people. There was a total of 8 people in this group. One of them was the Lightning Senior. The other 7 were the 7 elders of the Arcana Academy. These 8 experts were actually at a disadvantage when dealing with the tree fortress giants. The 7 elders were already injured and almost couldn't fight. The Lightning Senior was also injured. However, he was still strong enough to hold on for the time being. This tree fortress giant is really terrifying. Even the Lightning Senior and the 7 elders can't defeat it. It's no wonder that the Yuanling left it behind without any guards. Ling Xiao hid in the dark and watched the battle. The more he watched, the more frightened he became. Dean, let's retreat. We're no match for this guy. Bo Yi shouted as he covered his bleeding arm. As a martialist at the first turn of the Yin-Yang realm, level 11, hell, he was actually very strong. Even so, he could only suggest that they retreat. He's about to come. I can feel it. The Lightning Senior was also injured, and his injuries were getting worse. However, his face was full of smiles, as if he saw hope. Him. Who was he? Who could make the Lightning Seigneur so confident? Would that person be able to get rid of this terrifying tree fortress just by coming? Could it be the Lightning Emperor? Chapter 26:31. Who was the Lightning Seigneur waiting for? Could it be the Thunder Emperor? It seemed that the strongest person in the entire Qin nation was the Thunder Emperor. Now that the Thunder Emperor was here, this battle should be over. Just as Ling Xiao was feeling perplexed, the sky suddenly seemed to be torn apart. A figure wrapped in terrifying thunder and lightning fell from the sky. This person held a pair of hammers in his hands. Lightning continuously shot out from the hammers, creating fire. The twin hammers smashed onto the tree giant's body at lightning speed. At the same time lightning flashed, the tree fortress giant actually let out a miserable shriek. Clearly it was already injured. The Thunder Emperor? No, the Thunder Emperor is not that young. Ling Xiao saw that person reveal his true appearance. He looked very young, not even 20 years old. What kind of terrifying fellow is this? The 14th prince is here. Bo Ye's deep voice suddenly rang out, filled with anticipation and hope. The Lightning Seigneur laughed loudly and said, "My good nephew, you are finally here. How long has it been since we last met? To think that your cultivation has already reached such a terrifying level. You are almost at your father's level. You are even stronger than me, your royal uncle." Hearing this voice, Ling Xiao finally figured out this person's identity. The 14th prince. It was actually the war prince, the flying eagle-killing god, Chen Songxiong. Good fellow. I have heard of this fellow's name before. I have heard of him since I was in the 8 Immortal City. He was Jihyun of Scylla's greatest opponent and was known for his strong martial prowess. However, even though Ling Xiao had heard of him, he did not expect this fellow to be so terrifying. With such a cultivation, he was definitely a peak expert in the Qin nation. The Heavenly Thunder Divine hammers in his hands were said to have been used by the Heavenly Thunder Divine Emperor in the past. Not only were they terrifyingly powerful, but they were also made of special materials that made them virtually indestructible. As the youngest prince of the Qin nation, Chen Songxiong was the strongest. Of the 14 princes, only 2 or 3 were mediocre. The rest performed well. However, there were only 2 things that people were afraid of and remembered. One was Jihyun of Scylla, Qin Kanglin. The other was the war prince, Qin Songxiong. These 2 9-star princes had won over almost all the princes except for the 7th prince. Ling Xiao had already met Jihyun of Scylla. His cultivation was unfathomable, and his intelligence was outstanding. Until now, Ling Xiao still didn't know what cultivation level that guy had, but it was said that he was definitely not as powerful as the 14th prince. He relied on his extraordinary intelligence. What a terrifying genius. Not bad, not bad. I'm starting to get interested. Looking at Chen Songxiong, Ling Xiao actually had an impulse to quickly increase his strength. Only when his strength rose to a certain level would he be qualified to fight Qin Songxiong. He was said to be the number 1 genius in the state of Qin. Even in the entire western regions, he could definitely be considered a first-rate genius. It must be fun to fight. This guy's strength was something that even the Lightning Seigneur could not compare to. It was enough to show how terrifying he was. Even the experts of the older generation could not compare to him. Among the younger generation, there was no one who could compare to him. Everyone guessed that the 7th prince, Chen Kangmeng, could. However, Chen Kangmeng had never displayed his powerful combat strength. The reason why his army was invincible was because of their overall combat strength. Hence, this was only a guess. On the surface, the strongest person in the state of Qin was the Lightning Seigneur. After the Lightning Seigneur, it was the 14th prince, Qin Songxiong. Not only was Qin Songxiong a genius, but he also had rich combat experience. After all, he was known as the Eagle-killing god and controlled one of the 2 strongest armies in the state of Qin, the Eagle Army. In terms of combat achievements, he was only inferior to the 7th prince, Qin Kangmeng. Needless to say, his combat experience did not need to be mentioned. Despite his young age, however, being young did not mean anything. In the world of cultivators, there were plenty of people who ventured out at the age of 11 or 12. The giant in the fortress of trees could suppress the lightning seigneur and the 7 elders. However, against Chun Sangxiong's attacks, it was clearly losing ground and being completely suppressed. The terrifying heavenly thunder divine hammer continuously released powerful lightning in the air, striking the giant in the fortress of trees. The giant in the fortress of trees kept falling. Green blood poured down like a waterfall. Although it was huge and had powerful attacks, Chen Kangmeng was not weaker than it. Moreover, in terms of combat experience, Chen Kangmeng was more experienced. Hence, Chen Sangxiong really had the upper hand in this battle. Coupled with the powerful heavenly thunder divine hammer, the defeat of the giant in the fortress of trees was perhaps only a matter of time. Ling Xiao narrowed his eyes as he watched this scene. Although he was a strong-willed person, he had to admit that in front of Chen Sangxiong, he was simply an ant that could be trampled to death at any time. After all, he could not even move in front of the giant in the fortress of trees. However, Chen Sangxiong was suppressing this terrifying giant in the fortress of trees. The giant in the fortress of trees let out a terrifying roar. It was the last fortress of the Yuanling, their home base. His roar terrified the Yuanling, who were in the midst of a massacre in the extreme imperial mystic realm. They all returned to their home base. 14. Hurry up and finish the battle. The Yuanling guys are back. The lightning seigneur had already received a secret message from his soul and knew that the battle of the Yuanling was about to end. So what if they had killed many Arcana Academy disciples? If their home base was destroyed, then the battle of the Yuanling would be considered a complete failure. Hearing the lightning seigneur's words, the 14th prince, Chen Kangmeng, became even crazier. His body suddenly became huge, as if his entire body was condensed from lightning. The heavenly thunder divine hammer in his hand also became bigger. Previously, he had been dodging the attacks of the giant in the fortress of trees, but now he was actually fighting the giant to the death. Under that terrifying attack, the giant in the fortress of trees was smashed into pieces. Suddenly, something was blasted out of the giant's body and fell into the distance. Ling Xiao did not even think about it and immediately chased after it. Something that had been blasted out of the giant's body was definitely not something ordinary. As long as he obtained it, his cultivation would definitely increase. As for this battle, although it was enjoyable to watch, business was more important. Just as he was about to leave, Chen Kangmeng finally smashed down with his hammer and broke the giant in half. He wanted to finish off the giant completely, but the experts of the Yuanling had already rushed back. Chen Kangmeng had no choice but to retreat with the lightning seigneur and the others. In the Yuanling, there were 3 martial artists at the peak of the 11th level of the Yinyang realm. Although Chen Kangmeng was not afraid of fighting one-on-one, if he was surrounded, even he would be in trouble. That was why he chose to retreat. However, the direction of his retreat was the direction that the strange light had fallen. Ling Xiao had already picked it up. The Taiji I told him that it was the life essence of the giant in the fortress of trees. The giant in the fortress of trees had a total of 10 life essences. Each life essence represented 100 years of his life and 10% of his strength. The one in Ling Xiao's hand was one of them. Chapter 2632. Before Ling Xiao could use the life essence, he suddenly sensed that someone was coming. He hurriedly put the life essence and the more precious items in his storage ring into the mountain river world. He knew who was coming from behind, so he had to be careful. Who is it? The lightning seigneur and the others discovered Ling Xiao and surrounded him in an instant. Ling Xiao was ready to use the earth elemental golden light technique. Facing these experts, his only choice was to run. Reporting to Lord Dean, "It's this disciple." Ling Xiao cupped his hands and said, "You're that Ling Xiao? The genius that Song Lan found?" The lightning seigneur clearly remembered Ling Xiao. After all, Ling Xiao was the only person who had injured him since the establishment of the Arcana Academy. It was impossible for him to not remember. It's this disciple. What are you doing here? The lightning seigneur frowned and asked. Uncle Wang, don't ask such nonsense. 14th Prince Chen Songxiong looked coldly at Ling Xiao. He looked at Ling Xiao with a condescending attitude and said, Hand over your storage ring. Ling Xiao took a deep breath. He felt threatened and humiliated, but the opponent was very strong, so strong that he couldn't deal with it. Moreover, he didn't want to expose the secret of the Earth Elemental Golden Light Technique, because the Earth Elemental Golden Light Technique consumed too much energy. If he used it before leaving the Imperial Mystery Realm, Chen Songxiong would definitely catch up to him. Moreover, he had already put the more precious items in the storage ring into the Mountain River world. He wasn't afraid of being checked. He took off the storage ring and respectfully handed it to 14th Prince Chen Songxiong. Then he swore in his heart that he would definitely find Chen Songxiong and make him pay for the humiliation he suffered today. Moreover, it would be soon. Bastard. 14th Prince Chen Songxiong's investigation was naturally fruitless. There were only a few spirit stones and some ordinary pills in the storage ring. This was also in line with Ling Xiao's identity. A cultivator from a small place naturally wouldn't have too many good things in his storage ring. However, this infuriated Chen Songxiong. He actually crushed the storage ring, along with 100,000 low-grade spirit stones inside. Then, without even looking at Ling Xiao, he turned around and left. It was as if he didn't care about this ant at all. Don't blame him. You can only blame yourself for being here. You can only blame yourself for being too weak. The lightning seigneur glanced at Ling Xiao indifferently, then shot into the sky as well. The 7 elders followed him and left. Ling Xiao stared at the shattered storage ring on the ground and clenched his fists tightly. Too weak? You're right. If one was too weak, they would be bullied. Just you wait. Soon, I will make him kneel in front of me and apologize. He heaved a long sigh. Ling Xiao also turned around and left. This was not a place to stay for long. This was a king class area, and the Yuanling had already returned. If they stayed any longer, they would probably be destroyed by the Yuanling. After leaving the king class area, Ling Xiao arrived at the general class area. There was already a river of blood here, and there was no fighting for the time being. Ling Xiao chose a safe place and set up a formation. Then he took out the life essence and swallowed it. Because of this, he had been humiliated by the 14th Prince, Chen Songxiong. Therefore, he had to make good use of this thing. He sat cross-legged, and the life essence in his body was constantly released. This power was different from other types of energy. It did not harm the body at all. Therefore, he did not suffer any pain. His cultivation broke through the shackles in an instant, and he directly advanced to the peak of the 9th layer of hell. After reaching the peak of the 9th layer of hell, this power did not stop. It was still accumulating. 10%, 20%, 90%, 100%. Finally, the energy needed to break through to the 10th layer of hell was completely filled. However, Ling Xiao now faced a more troublesome problem. This was the Imperial Mystic Realm. How could he open a gate of hell in the Imperial Mystic Realm? The previous breakthroughs were all small breakthroughs in the same layer of hell, so there was no need to open a new gate of hell. However, it was different this time. He had to open the gate of the 10th layer of hell. This difficulty was greater than he had imagined. If Ling Xiao asked others, the conclusion he would get would be that it was impossible. However, he did not know, so he was even more fearless. He sat there and focused on controlling the life essence in his body, constantly attacking the barrier of the breakthrough. Above his head, the terrifying gate of hell had already appeared, but it was unwilling to open. Open for me. Although the Imperial Mystic Realm had been affecting his cultivation and did not allow him to open the gate of hell, it was a mysterious energy that was constantly blocking him. However, Ling Xiao had a way to defeat it. This mysterious energy, to put it bluntly, was a kind of energy circulation similar to an array. He could not understand the mysteries within, so he could not rely on brute force. However, Ling Xiao could do both at the same time. The Taiji, I analyzed the flaws of the energy, and his source, spirit, came out of his shell, constantly attacking the weakest part of the energy. After 7 days, he finally broke through. At that moment, the gate of hell opened. A terrifying energy soared into the sky. Ling Xiao's cultivation had officially entered the early stage of the Yin-Yang realm's 10th layer of hell. It was easy to break through the small realms of the same layer of hell. However, it was very difficult to break through between 2 layers of hell. To be able to break through, for Ling Xiao, it was definitely a great fortune. Too powerful. This life essence, just one, allowed me to make such a big breakthrough. I guess no one would have thought of it. 14th Prince, I still have to thank you. Just treat it as spending a storage ring and those spirit stones in exchange for this huge breakthrough in strength. The breakthrough in cultivation also allowed Ling Xiao to start cultivating new moves. The current him was no longer satisfied with top jade grade martial skills. With his cultivation reaching the Yin-Yang realm's 10th layer of hell, he had the ability to come into contact with immortal grade first layer martial skills. The shadow martial arts had a follow-up move that was immortal grade first layer martial skills. What Ling Xiao wanted to cultivate now was this move, Shadow Sword Demon. Ling Xiao spent a day comprehending the martial skills. This was already the 9th day since he entered the Imperial Mystery Realm. After he succeeded in comprehending the martial skills, he used the powerful demonic beasts in the general level area to hone his martial skills. This move, Shadow Sword Demon, was cultivated to the small success stage by him. However, he felt that he was almost there. While most martial artists were still stuck at top jade grade or even high-level jade grade martial skills, he had already secretly learned immortal grade first layer martial skills. This was a huge improvement in his strength. The reason why he stopped cultivating was that it was already the 10th day. He had to go back and check on the situation and see if the Arcana Academy had any other arrangements. On the other hand, he was worried about the safety of Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death. The two of them were in the safe zone when the battle broke out. However, after the battle subsided, no one could be sure of their safety. Therefore, he had to go back. Ling Xiao hid his true cultivation and only revealed that he was at the 9th layer of hell of the Yin-Yang realm. Chapter 26:33. On the way to the safe zone, there were corpses everywhere. The corpses of Arcana Academy disciples, the corpses of monsters, and the corpses of Yuanling. Indeed, war was always the most miserable thing. No matter which side it was the same. Perhaps it was because the battle had just ended. The monsters were all hiding in their nests to recuperate. Ling Xiao didn't encounter any monsters along the way. Instead, he met a lot of Arcana Academy disciples. However, people who didn't know each other wouldn't greet each other. Ling Xiao arrived at the safe zone as fast as he could. However, there was basically no one in the safe zone at this time. After the battle ended, all the Arcana Academy disciples who hid in the safe zone were sent out to collect the corpses of the dead warriors. Ling Xiao was anxious and directly went to the 7th zone. They were in charge of the 7th zone, so Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death naturally went there too. After his cultivation had increased, Ling Xiao's current speed was much faster than before. Originally, it would have taken at least half an hour to travel, but now he arrived in less than 10 minutes. The moment Ling Xiao arrived at the 7th zone, he encountered Avidinia and the others. These 5 people directly surrounded Ling Xiao. I don't have time to waste with you guys. Where are Sister Ruoxian and Moon Death? Ling Xiao knew why Avidinia and the others surrounded him. They saw him kill no agreements, so they definitely wouldn't let him go. In fact, he wasn't afraid, but he was worried about Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death, so he didn't want to waste time. You don't have time, but we do, Avidinia said coldly. When you killed my brother, You probably didn't expect this day to come. To be honest, I didn't see you for so many days, so I thought you were dead. I was really sad because if you were dead, I wouldn't be able to avenge my brother. I wouldn't be able to kill you. Now, it's great that you're not dead. This is really surprising. But after the surprise, I'm happy. Idiot, if you attack now, I can guarantee that none of the 5 of you will survive. The current Ling, Xiao, didn't even put these 5 people in his eyes. The reason why he didn't want to make a move was purely because he was worried about Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death. After he finished speaking, he turned around and walked towards the hunting chief of Division 7. He believed that Gale should know about the Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death. Leave, can you walk? Of course. Avidinia didn't know what Ling Xiao had experienced in the past 10 days, or how terrifyingly strong he had become. He only knew that his younger brother was killed by Ling Xiao, so he had to kill Ling Xiao for revenge. What's more, they were shouldering a mission. Jihyun of Silla had ordered them to eliminate Ling Xiao here. Now that half a month had passed, it was time to complete the mission. So, no matter what, Ling Xiao had to die. You're courting death. Ling Xiao was already very anxious, but these people still wanted to cause trouble for him, which made him furious. I think you're the one courting death. But before you die, let me tell you something good. Avidinia suddenly sneered and said, Aren't you looking for your 2 women? I can tell you, now, where they went. Where did they go? Ling Xiao was about to leave, but when he heard this, he suddenly stopped and his anger was contained. Do you still remember Bo Yi Ruri? After Elder Bo Yi returned, I don't know why, but he asked Bo Yi Ruri to bring Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death back for questioning. I guess they should have left the extreme royal secret realm by now. Avidinia sneered and said, I'm afraid you're not familiar with Bo Yi Ruri's personality. That woman hates all beautiful women. I have to say, Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death's beauty is quite good. Once they fall into her hands, I'm afraid it won't be as simple as death. In the end, they will be turned into something that doesn't even look like a human or a ghost. Do you know how Bo Yi Ruri raised a group of ghost masked female generals? They were transformed from the beautiful women she captured. Beautiful women turned into ugly, ghost, masked female generals. TSK, I believe you'll be very interested. Didn't you say you wouldn't let them marry my 2 brothers? Now it's good. Their ending will be even more miserable than you can imagine. Hearing this, Ling Xiao confirmed that Avidinia wasn't lying. He guessed that although the 14th prince didn't find the tree fortress's life essence on him, Bo Yi Ruri wasn't willing to give up. He probably suspected that he had hidden the life essence. Lin Ruoxian and Moon Death were captured because of this. After thinking this through, Ling Xiao felt a wave of irritation in his heart. Bo Yi Ruri, just you wait. If anything happens to my sister Ruoxian and Moon Death, I'll definitely make the 2 of you pay with your lives. Since he already got his answer, he didn't want to waste any more time with Avidinia and the others. He once again took a step forward and was about to leave. Go. Avidinia didn't know how angry he was at this time, and even more didn't understand how strong his killing intent was. He actually gave the order to attack at this time. Apart from him, the other 4 people pounced at Ling Xiao at the same time. At that moment, a sharp and cold light flashed in the corner of Ling Xiao's eyes. If they want to die, then let them die. Suddenly, a sword light appeared. The 4 people who pounced at Ling Xiao all fell to the ground on the spot. On each of their throats, there was a very small but absolutely fatal wound. I told you, don't court death. Ling Xiao turned around and glanced at Avidinia. You know that I'm angry, yet you still want to court death, stupid. You dare to kill people in the Extreme Emperor's secret realm. Avidinia was incomparably shocked. According to the rules, killing was not allowed in the Extreme Emperor's secret realm. Of course, if it wasn't discovered, then it was a different story. Therefore, Ling Xiao used the Yuanling campaign to kill no agreements. In fact, Avidinia and the others were also prepared to use the demon beasts in the Extreme Emperor's secret realm to kill Ling Xiao. Unfortunately, Ling Xiao was more straightforward and direct than them. So what if I killed people? You asked for it. Ling Xiao said coldly. Then he turned his head again and headed out of the extreme emperor's secret realm. But how could Avidinia be willing to let him leave just like that? Of the 6 Arcana Academy disciples who were like brothers and sisters, he was the only one left. He would never let Ling Xiao go. In that instant, his entire body turned into a terrifying poisonous snake and attacked Ling Xiao from behind. This move was similar to No Agreement's attack, but it was stronger and more ruthless. Go to hell, lowly country bumpkin. Even if you kill 5 of them, I alone am enough. Avidinia's voice was roaring. At this moment, he no longer cared about the rules. In any case, Ling Xiao had already killed people, so his attack could be explained as legitimate self-defense. Moreover, with Ji-Hyun of Silla as his guarantor, he would definitely be fine. Chapter 2634. When he thought about how Ling Xiao might die and how he might make a great contribution, Avidinia felt the pain of losing his friends disappear. Even if his brothers, No Agreements, and Wu Yan were killed, it doesn't matter. As long as he could kill Ling Xiao and make a great contribution, then his clan would be able to achieve meteoric success. Although they can't compare to the 8 great families, they can definitely rise from a small family to a medium family. What a beautiful hope. I told you not to throw your life away. You didn't listen. Ling Xiao sighed. He really didn't want to waste time with Avidinia. Then he'll use the strongest move that he just mastered. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao took out the white jade flying dragon sword. He didn't use beast soul transformation because there was no need. With his current cultivation, killing Avidinia in this state is more than enough. Shadow battle technique, shadow sword demon. In that instant, a shadow flew out from the sword. It carried a strong sword intent and charged towards Avidinia. Looking down on me, Avidinia saw that Ling Xiao didn't even turn his head. He was a bit angry. This guy dared to look down on him. Does he really think he's that easy to deal with? Although you hid your strength, you're at most Yin Yang Stage 9, Hell's middle stage. With this kind of cultivation, you dare to look down on me, Avidinia? Who's the one looking for death? The black shadow didn't have the momentum he expected. It was very low-key. So Avidinia didn't pay much attention to it. Indeed, Ling Xiao's martial arts weren't weak. The strongest attack martial arts could reach the peak of Jade grade martial arts. But he also has martial arts of the same level. What's there to be afraid of? In terms of cultivation, the difference between him and his opponent is too big. There's no reason for him to be afraid. What's more, the move he was using now was his strongest move, and he had used close to 90% of his strength. Although he looked down on Ling Xiao, he wouldn't underestimate Ling Xiao in battle. Unfortunately, Avidinia, who was planning to attack with all his might, didn't know. Ling Xiao wasn't in the middle stage of the 9th level of hell, but in the early stage of the 10th level of hell. There was a huge difference between them. Moreover, Dark Sword Demon was not a Jade grade martial skill, but an Immortal grade 1st level martial skill. Cold and powerful, yet low-key and gloomy. This was the specialty of the Shadow Sword Demon. It didn't seem like much, but once the power of the attack was unleashed, the result would be very shocking. Rumble. The 2 attacks finally collided. At that moment, Avidinia finally revealed a terrified expression. How is this possible? He was shocked. He was terrified. His opponent's attack had completely suppressed his own, which was unacceptable to him. When you are in the underworld, don't forget that you shouldn't have given me these 10 days to cultivate. My cultivation isn't at the middle stage of the Yin-Yang realm's 9th level of hell. It's the early stage of the 10th level of hell. Ling Xiao's contemptuous voice rang in Avidinia's ears. The moment before his consciousness completely disappeared. Only now did he realize that he'd still underestimated Ling Xiao in the end. This was simply like a dream, a nightmare. From the beginning, he had offended the wrong person. Perhaps Her Highness Ji-Hyun of Silla will also accompany us in hell. He suddenly thought of Ji Hyun of Silla, Chin Kanglin. Her Highness was still coveting Yu Fenghua's beauty and strength. She didn't know that she had offended such a terrifying person. This was a monster, a demon. As long as he didn't die, he would be able to strike fear in everyone. I hope this guy dies in Bo Yi Chen's hands. Otherwise, no one will be able to stop him. Finally, Avidinia completely lost consciousness. Ling Xiao's figure had also completely disappeared. As Ling Xiao, he obviously didn't know about Avidinia's complicated emotions before his death. Fear and anticipation. Fear of death. Anticipation that Bo Yi-chin could kill Ling Xiao. At this time, Ling Xiao had already arrived at the exit of the extreme royal mystic realm. Because half a month hadn't passed yet, the extreme royal mystic realm was still closed. When the martial artists guarding the entrance of the extreme royal mystic realm saw Ling Xiao coming over, they all gripped the weapons in their hands and looked at Ling Xiao with great vigilance. "Get out of the way, I want to go out." Ling Xiao said coldly, "Impudent, the extreme royal mystic realm's time hasn't ended. You can't go out." The guard shouted loudly, "Is that so? But I heard that Bo Yi has already gone out. You have already violated the rules. Could it be that these rules were only prepared for me?" Ling Xiao narrowed his eyes. He didn't have time to waste with these guards. But after all, he didn't have any deep hatred with these guards, so he suppressed his urge to kill. What a joke can you compare to Miss Liuli? Miss Liuli is the eldest daughter of the Bo Yi clan, one of the state of Chen's 8 great clans, and you're just a lowly commoner. What qualifications do you have to compare to her? The guard sneered and said, "Scram. If you don't scram, don't blame us for being impolite." Impolite? A martial artist at the peak of the 9th level of the Yin-Yang realm in the First Revolution. I want to see how you can be impolite to me. Since the other party was shameless, then Ling Xiao didn't need to be polite. He took out the white jade flying dragon sword again. Even if he had to kill his way out. Courting death, actually daring to be disrespectful to the guards. Kill him. One of the guards shouted loudly, and the other guard immediately responded. The two of them attacked almost at the same time, wanting to make Ling Xiao's blood splatter on the spot. In any case, this wasn't a big deal. If Ling Xiao wanted to force his way out, they had the authority to kill him. However, in the next moment, blood indeed splattered out. However, the one who died was not Ling Xiao, but the two guards. Blood gushed out from their necks. But they didn't die immediately. They could only look at Ling Xiao in horror. They felt that this was unbelievable and ridiculous. A new disciple of the Arcana Academy, who could only mix in the soldier level area, could actually kill the two of them in one move? What kind of joke was this? Not only will I kill you, but that bitch Wayno Liuli must die too. Ling Xiao shouted coldly. His eyes were filled with anger that had never been seen before. Wayno Liuli should still be in the Arcana Academy. There's an interrogation room in the Arcana Academy. This is the map I drew for you, be careful. Ling Xiao was about to open the exit of the extreme royal mystery realm to leave when suddenly a figure flashed out. It was Gale. Gale had serious scratches on his body. It was obvious that he was attacked by a monster. It was almost to the point where he couldn't fight. However, he dragged his sick body to give Ling Xiao a map. Why? Ling Xiao asked doubtfully. If it was to help him with some small matter, he could understand that Gale was helping him because of Lai Huang. However, this time he was going to become enemies with the Wayno clan, one of the 8 great clans. I almost died, but the two ladies saved me. It's too bad that I was seriously injured and could only watch as they were taken away, unable to save them. Promise me, you must save them. Tears welled up in Lai Feng's eyes as he spoke.